against Washington State. Mark Ziegler will join us at 5. San Diego State's defensive coordinator Eric Schmidt will join us coming up at 5:15. And AJ Preller has spoken with the media, thank goodness. Otherwise, we'd spend the next 3 hours complaining about the worst possible scenario for Padres fans, which is what it is. It's the Dodgers and it's the Yankees, and it's what we had hoped wouldn't happen, but played out. There wasn't a lot of drama in it playing out. Dodgers in 6, Yankees in 5. I guess we all now pull for the Yankees and somehow wrap our mind around the idea that Juan Soto wasn't the guy that we said he was in 2023 here in 2024. But nobody wants the Dodgers winning the World Series. So thankfully, AJ Preller spoke with the media, because otherwise we'd spend the next week talking about how it's the evil empire against the evil empire. Yankees, Dodgers in 2024 for the World Series. So we'll see.
All right, first off, I'm sorry. I'm very flustered right now. Sammy came in here to try to rile me up. I got in a long meeting. I'm sorry.
Oh, good. Let's go.
I'm sorry. Yeah, this is the worst case scenario for Padres fans.
I mean, it really is.
It really is. You have the Dodgers in the World Series. Gross. And not only are the Yankees in the World Series, it's Juan Soto. Mm-hmm. And it's Juan Soto playing at a level that proves that he is a top 5 player in this sport. His home run on, what was it, Saturday night? Saturday night was, or Friday night, whenever it was.
Friday night
was an iconic Yankees moment and an iconic postseason moment, and one of the most iconic Juan Soto moments of his career. It's the narratives just are writing themselves with the whole Juan Soto gets traded to the Yankees here from San Diego, and now the Yankees are in the World Series.
Yeah.
I jokingly said over the weekend, yeah, Yankees won the trade. A lot of people got triggered by that. A lot of people. Do I think the Yankees won the trade? Yes, they did. You know why? Because they're in the World Series. Do I think the Padres didn't benefit from the trade? No, I thought they benefited greatly from the trade. They were in the postseason. I do think if they do not trade Juan Soto, I don't think they make the postseason this past year. Do you think that?
I don't know. We'll never know. I really have no idea, but I do know this. 2 teams can win trades. Now, one might win it to a better degree. I mean, if one team wins the World Series, you can't argue that the Yankees didn't win the trade. I mean, if they end up winning the World Series, but to Yankees fans, you're going to have to win the World Series. Same thing with the Dodgers. I mean, yes, they beat the Padres. That's great. They can celebrate that, but you didn't sign Shohei Ohtani to beat the Padres in the postseason. You signed Shohei Ohtani to win World Series. The problem is one of these two things is inevitable. I know you tweeted about it, like you're rooting for both teams to lose. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. I think it's a lot easier for me here in San Diego to justify the Yankees winning the World Series and Juan Soto getting his second. He already has a ring. Than it is to justify, how do you sell this as a Padres fan to yourself?
You don't.
How do you justify this? How do you wrap your arms around it? If the Dodgers win the World Series, then they were supposed to win multiple with Ohtani, and he's only won one. How do you wrap your arms around it, especially knowing you were so damn close to beating them? Close doesn't count, but you led 2 games to 1.
Look, you got nothing.
I don't know how you're going to rationalize it.
You got nothing. It's a bunch of wearing it around here.
Right?
You got to wear
it
for the foreseeable future, unfortunately, until the Padres can win a World Series, get to a World Series, something, right? Beat the Dodgers in the postseason again. You're just going to have to wear it. There's no other way around it. This matchup, I know that from an executive standpoint at Fox, dream matchup.
Complete dream matchup.
Dream matchup. I could argue it's the opposite.
Okay. How?
These 2 teams and franchises are 2 of the most unlikable franchises in the entire sport.
Which is huge for television. Massive.
But it's only, to me, as if I'm just I hate both teams. And I hate the Dodgers more. I don't despise the Yankees as much as I despise the Dodgers. But there are people out there that despise both teams. Imagine if you're a Red Sox fan right now.
But people love hate watching. It's like saying...
But you can't hate watch when you hate both teams.
Because you have nobody to root for.
Yeah, but
exactly.
You got nobody to root for.
We can say that until we see the highest TV numbers since the Cubs were in the World Series. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying. But the truth is, people like watching Notre Dame lose. People like watching Alabama lose.
But when Notre Dame faces USC, it's not like
someone loses.
USC won.
No, you're right.
Yeah, if Ohio State and Notre Dame are playing, people would be like, "Oh God."
True, but 12 million people are watching. That's why I said it's evil empire against evil empire. You're right. There's no winning here. I think if you're a Padres fan, the win is having the Yankees win the World Series and taking back everything bad you ever said about Juan Soto. Like, that's a lot easier to do for me than know that you've got friends that you go to work with and you go to school with and you grew up with and are in your neighborhood that troll you and are on social media. They root for the Dodgers. Like, that's a way worse scenario for me dealing with the Dodgers for the next year plus than dealing with apologizing to Juan Soto.
Well, the apologies should have already been sent to Juan Soto.
Probably true.
Even
Agreed.
before his 3-run home run to send the Yankees to the World Series. Because I've seen it a lot on social media. Like, why couldn't he have done it here, guys?
But he did do it.
He did do it.
Maybe
here.
not in that same moment, but that's not his fault.
No, if you remember, and I tried to tell this to people, but they didn't want to hear it because they're very biased, and I understand, right? I get it, but still, it's makes you look foolish when you're bashing Juan Soto. The dude in the NLCS hit huge home runs in Game 4 and 5, if you remember.
Yeah, he hit home runs in both of those games,
and he had a massive hit in Game 4 against the Dodgers. That
extend the lead.
If you remember, it tied the game.
Oh, before Cronenworth.
Cronenworth gave them the lead.
Yep.
And then he had a big double in Game 3 versus the Mets.
Yep.
And, oh, by the way, he was the best offensive player up and down the board in 2023.
Yeah.
With a 930 OPS. So I don't want to hear any bashing about Juan Soto. We're going to hear later on in the show, once again, debunking any stupid take out there about how Juan Soto was the problem here. And I just look at this World Series. I'm rooting for the Yankees just by default of I don't want the Dodgers to win. But it's not going to make you feel any better if they win the World Series over the Dodgers, because then it's like
it will.
But then it's like, all Yankees fans are going to be saying, "Thanks, Padres, you helped us win a World Series this year."
Okay, the Yankees are a national brand, but the Dodgers are in your backyard. And that's the big difference for me. That yes, there's Yankees fans everywhere, but we deal with Dodger trolls every single day of our lives. We don't deal with Yankee trolls by and large. They're left for the Mets and the Red Sox and the Northeast. So to me, there's no argument here. There's absolutely no question as to what you prefer if you're a Padres fan. The problem is it might not work out that way. And I'm assuming, I haven't looked at the latest betting line. What is the World Series betting line? Dodgers with home field have to be
favorites, I think. Yeah.
Let's take a look. The latest betting line here on the World Series is that the Dodgers, they have to be favored, and they are. They're minus 122. So they're slight favorites, something like 55% chance of winning the World Series according to Las Vegas. But what do? You just cross your finger? We have no role here in what happens. And here's the other thing that might happen, Jim. The Dodgers may win the World Series, and then you're left to wonder what would have happened if we just played like ourselves in either Game 4 or Game 5. Because if the Dodgers win the World Series, then I'm going to say, well, the Padres could have been that team. Of course, Dodger fans will laugh at that. But it was right there for the taking, up 2-1 at home. And even AJ Preller said it today, and we'll hear from Preller coming up in about 5 minutes or so. AJ Preller's like, we would have liked to think that we could be in this spot based on the team that we put together. It's almost like they're trying to still wrap their minds around the fact that they had a lead against the Dodgers that they couldn't hold on to, and now the Dodgers are favored to win the World Series 2 weeks later.
I think if the Dodgers win the World Series in like 5, it's going to even feel worse because you had them on the brink.
Right.
You were the only team this postseason. If the Dodgers win in 5, or if they have a lead throughout the entire series, they win in 6, just like with the Mets, right? You're going to be sitting there being like, oh my gosh, we were this close. And not only this close, you had the Dodgers on the rope. The Dodgers were trailing 2-1 on the road at home with a bullpen day going up against Dylan Cease, and you blew it. And now you got to watch them in the World Series against none other than Juan freaking Soto. I mean, did we call it or did we call it? Was the second Juan Soto got traded to the Yankees? Well, we're going to watch him in the World Series next year.
He's going to hit 40 home runs.
Yeah.
He's going to guide the Yankees to their first World Series since 2009.
Win the World Series MVP, and that's what's going to happen. You knew it was going to happen. You just knew it was going to happen. And now you have that scenario lined up with also on the other side, the Dodgers are there as well. And you had them, dead to rights.
Yeah.
Up 2-1 at home, advantage you. You became the World Series favorite, and then you blew it.
My thing is, I don't know any Yankees fans. So if the Yankees would win, I don't have necessarily anybody that's going to be all of, you lost the trade. Look what you gave it, blah, blah, blah. It won't matter because I don't know any Yankees fans. I know tons of annoying Dodgers fans that I will have to hear from every day for decades pretty much, because it's not like they're going to stop talking about it when next season starts. It's going to go on forever.
We can all say that 2020 was 2020. I mean, we said it in 2020. That 2020 was 2020. Would we have taken a World Series in 2020? Sure.
That'd be the only good thing about this is maybe they'll finally shut up about 2020 because I have a real title to brag
2020 is in its separate category. But once you put 2024 is a normal baseball season. Like there's nothing you can say about it. Yeah, you can't really. Well, they won because now I could tell you that they spent $1 billion in the offseason and they outspent everyone, but that's not really going to matter. Let's go to the phones real quick. Dave wants to weigh in. We'll hear from AJ Preller on the other side. We've got Aztec football tickets to give away. We have SeaWorld Howl Scream tickets to give away as well. But Dave's been patient. He's on with Jon and Jim. Thanks, Dave.
Hey, points well taken. First of all, guys, let me just rattle them through real quick.
Yeah.
First of all, what we got to look at, the Dodgers are also going to get back all those starting pitchers that were injured. So it's not just the starting lineup you're going to face for the next 5 years. They've got some pretty good guys coming back on the mound as well. So just, I think, get used to it. It's not a fair fight. When you get into the revenue disparities that baseball refuses to address between and I'm also a Red Sox fan, so I've got to look at the Yankees at the East, and I've got to look at the Dodgers in the West. We have got the dilemma now for decades. It's the revenue disparity in the television revenue that baseball refuses to address. And so we're not the only ones suffering from this. Secondly, we don't know, and we will never know, whether we could have ever afforded Juan Soto to begin with. So to have this rumination about, Juan Soto, all I know is this, Jim, go back to the first half of last year. He didn't have a great first half, that's for sure. And you guys were first to point that out on your show, and it was absolutely correct. He came on the second half of last year, no doubt, but it was not the same Juan Soto that we're looking at now that was in San Diego. I don't believe, this is just my opinion for what it's worth, I don't believe he was really all that comfortable here. I don't think he wanted to be here. He had mentioned numerous times that the trade from Washington discomforted him quite a bit. So, let's forget about Juan Soto. Let's just be happy with what we've got and move on and try to address the future as best we can with the money that we have. But there's, until baseball addresses the bigger problem of the revenue disparities, it's nasty.
Dave, thank you. Thanks. I mean, I don't like the revenue disparities either, but the Padres led the series 2-1.
Yeah.
Like, how did dollar bills impact their ability to
Cleveland
close
was
out
in the
series?
ALCS. They had a
it's always been, it's always going to be a factor. And I agree the Dodgers aren't going away. And by the way, I need to debunk this as well, Dave. Juan Soto in the first half last year had a 900 OPS. Yeah. Now he had a 966 in the second half. He's been better with the Yankees, but he's a human being.
Could he have been better?
Sure, they all could be better.
Yeah. But it is interesting. It's very interesting that, Juan Soto's been on 3 different teams now in his career, and he's been to World Series with 2 of them. The one team he has not been to World Series with is the Padres, and for some reason, everything just crumbled around everybody here when he was here.
Right, but it's Soto's fault, even though he's won previously and might win again. But it's nobody's fault that's currently here.
Yeah. If only Juan Soto did this, but he didn't, so it's all his fault. Like, give me a break.
All right, on the other side, we'll hear from AJ Preller. Is a Mike Schilt extension coming or not? We're here until 6. It's Jon and Jim. All right, we're going to hear from AJ Preller because for a moment we just need to take our mind off this World Series because it's not ideal. It's just not, especially after such a good year, 93-69, win a postseason round, play well against the Dodgers but lose, and now we're left with this. Just hoping that it's a tie.
Both teams lose, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Somehow.
Both teams lose.
That's what I'm rooting for.
Mike Schild. He's going to get extended, right? This is a formality. AJ Preller was asked a series of questions today from the media, one of which was about the Padres' interest in extending Mike Schild. Let's take a listen to this.
I think, again, we just started. So, just started those conversations in terms of myself and sitting down with Eric Gotzender and Eric Grubner and others. And, I think, again, we talk about getting people with ability and then having stability. And rewarding people that perform. So, I think from our standpoint, that's going to be something that we look to do here over the course of the next couple of weeks. Is try to see if we can line up with Mike and the coaching staff, and having a group that's shown that they can get results and did a good job with this group and this staff is, making sure that people feel rewarded and that we have some people that are together in that area and from a coaching standpoint that are able to come back and kind of build and grow on what we did this year. So again, starting those conversations, that's what the off season's for. But the motivation's there to try to see if we can line up and I know from Mike's standpoint, he obviously enjoys it here, wants to be here. But I know his focus also is just go get better. And if you do that, then, I think he has a lot of trust and faith that things are, from an organization standpoint, that we'll figure some things out there.
Can I translate that for you?
The extension.
He's getting extended.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's
working on it.
Yeah, that's the most AJ would ever disclose on anything. And he said nothing, but while saying nothing, he said that they're working on an extension.
I listened to all 41 minutes of this press conference today on a Zoom
He
meeting.
did not say a lot, right?
It's a nothing burger. And we know that every time AJ talks, it's a nothing burger.
He just won't.
But he won't say anything.
He won't say anything.
But also, I don't know what answers he can give right now.
True.
In his defense, you can't sign any free agents during, this time of the World Series. You can extend managers and coaching staffs and everything. But as far as transactional moves, like roster moves, you can't do any of that right now. So there's really nothing there. I think it was interesting that he talked about Ha-Seong Kim, that he won't be ready for spring training because of his labrum.
Yeah.
And he had surgery about 10 days ago. That was interesting.
But
other than that,
and what spring training would he be ready for anyway? Who's spring training?
I don't know.
Not Padres spring training, right?
It's interesting you say that because if and when he does opt out, you would think he's not going to be able to get a contract that he may have been looking for because of this injury.
Agreed. So he could either opt in for 8, opt out and get 2. I still think, it might not be the same market he had. I'm sure it's not.
No.
But can he get more than 1 year, $8 million with Scott Boras as his representation? Coming off what has been a decent tenure in San Diego. Again, it didn't end smoothly. This goes back to the point we made, and this is what I want to hear from Preller next. We made this point last spring training when, day one, they're like, Xander Bogaerts is moving to second base for Ha-Seong Kim.
Second baseman.
And then we're like, well, Ha-Seong Kim's only under contract for 1 year. So why are you moving Xander Bogaerts for Ha-Seong Kim? And that's the exact spot that they're in. Let's hear from Preller on who is going to play shortstop next year for the San Diego Padres.
I mean, obviously we've got a lot of athletes on the field and different possibilities, but haven't really gotten too much into that. I think that's again, we'll work through that over the next couple of weeks. And I know last year we were probably, it took us a little bit to get through there just because we were trying to work through the roster, Soto, Ha-Seong, situation, some different trade possibilities. I would think we'll be able to have a pretty an earlier idea about where things are going to, how things are going to unfold and be able to go to the players a little bit earlier and talk about it. But those are conversations, honestly, for the next couple of weeks. We really haven't touched on that yet so far this offseason.
Is that weird to you with the benefit of hindsight? And we talked on this last February. Is it a little odd now looking back on it 7 months later that they did move Xander Bogaerts if ultimately Xander Bogaerts becomes your shortstop in 2025?
It was always odd to me. I found it to be the right move for that particular season, this past season. But if you're talking about long term, Xander even mentioned like this kind of was a little, soon for me. I was expecting to get that talk and about, hey, we're going to think about moving you, but not this soon. If anything, I think that the talk, if you said this after this season, like, yeah, you're going to move to the second base, I get that, but then you still need a shortstop. So it's a little weird. I agree with you. And especially if Xander goes back to short next year, you're like, what was the whole point of moving to second base?
Especially with an organization that's filled with middle infielders, whether it was Jay Cronenworth, who was a second baseman, and then you always had, this is an interesting line of questioning, Brent, if we have this sound, on the idea of move. I mean, this is crazy. Fernando Tatis Jr. has won a platinum glove. Jackson Merrill played a darn good center field, obviously, for the Padres. They both came up as shortstops. Would you move Jackson Merrill or Fernando Tatis Jr. back to short?
I think they probably love that possibility. They always joke around all the time, like whatever's needed. And, I think the great part with those guys, they're athletes and they're talented athletes and they can play different spots. So I think it was Dennis earlier. Yeah, we've got a lot of guys, Xander, Ha-Sung, obviously Jackson and Toddy have done it. We've got a lot of guys that have done it. But, again, like I think it's, those guys are obviously Toddy winning the platinum 2 years ago, Jackson doing a tremendous job in center field this year. We know that they're really good in what they do in the outfield. So, we'll have that conversation, and Mike and the staff and, our front office scouting group will be part of all of those conversations. We'll obviously start the year with a shortstop, so we'll figure it out. But honestly, that's the next couple weeks, and I think the good news, we've got a lot of guys that are probably open to it, but more importantly can do it, and then we'll figure out what's best for our team, what's out there on the market, Ha-Sung's situation as well, and and go from there with it. So
when he said that, like, we're going to have a shortstop next year, I immediately thought of you.
Left field.
Because that's all you did in the offseason.
Like,
they're going to have a left fielder.
What if they just didn't have no one on the left side? Just hit the ball on that left side, not to third, but if you hit on the left side, it's going through.
Hey, Manny, go cover
just
short.
Cover most of the space between second and third. Let's talk about, what they could do at short next year on the other side. Plus, what are the expectations for Xander Bogaerts? You're 2 years in to this massive deal that to this point has been a bit of a train wreck. Honestly, it's probably one of the worst contracts in the history of the franchise. And we're 2 years in. So what are the expectations for Xander Bogaerts in 2025? We'll also hear from Yankees manager Aaron Boone coming up. Great giveaways today, including San Diego State football tickets for Saturday against Washington State. It's Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. The World Series, it's set. Yankees and Padres, they start on Friday in LA, 5:08. First pitch there. San Diego FC announced today their inaugural match in 2025 will be on the road versus the LA Galaxy on February 22nd. And the club's first home match will be on March 1st at 7:30 p.m. at Snapdragon Stadium versus St. Louis City SC. And over the weekend, in a closed-door scrimmage between San Diego State and UCLA, San Diego State beat UCLA 72-67. And this update is brought to you by Staples.
All right, Jon and Jim back with you. If you missed our 2024 iHeartRadio Music Festival, you can now watch the best moments exclusively on Hulu. See the biggest festival headliners from around the world assembled on one stage on one show. Keith Urban, New Kids on the Block, Black Rose, and more. This is the only time you'll see a lot of superstar performers like this one on one stage. See it all at our 2024 iHeartRadio Music Festival, streaming only on Hulu. Mark Ziegler will join us at 5 p.m. Eric Schmidt, San Diego State defensive coordinator, homecoming this weekend. We have tickets to give away for San Diego State Wazoo. We'll do that coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. So we were hearing from AJ Preller. And as good as Preller was in 2024 as a GM, we both agree he did a great job.
A+.
He did an A+ job. Would you have liked to win in the postseason? Of course. That goes without saying. He was asked by Kevin Acee right off the top, hey, you didn't score the last two games. And he said the same thing I would say, which is, it's 2 games. You're right. We didn't. I mean, I don't know what you want me to do about it. And I agree with that.
And once you get to the postseason, you know, it's emphasis is more on the players, than it is the general manager.
GM's washing his hands of it.
He's kind of just like, okay, I put together the team, made the postseason. Let's see if this team can go win a World Series.
Yeah, go set your 26th man. Hey, we want speed. Here's Lockhart, whatever the guy's name is.
And there's some times where you're like, hey, you need to have a better pitching staff, or you need to be better here, better be here. And they need to be better in a lot of places.
Absolutely.
But you also can't tell me that you didn't think this team was set up to go to a World Series, because I think they were.
I agree with that. And I think AJ Preller deserves a lot of that credit for putting the team in a position to make a run, which they didn't fully make, but they were positioned to make a run. Now, that's all true. But with that being said, AJ Preller, for as good as he was in 2024, the Xander Bogaerts contract is a massive problem for the organization. And he can spin it any way he wants, and we'll hear from AJ right here and then react to this. He still has 9 years left in his deal. He's completely underperformed this massive contract that even with an Eric Hosmer contract under Preller's belt, this is big potatoes compared to the small potatoes of Eric Hosmer. This is $280 million, and Hosmer was not even half of that. So here is AJ Preller on expectations for Xander Bogaerts moving forward.
I mean, I think with Xander, it's, obviously like getting, playing through the injury, kind of like getting back in the second half of the season. Again, I think the expectation with Xander is, and he'll be the first to tell you, he knows that he's, I think from his standpoint, he knows he's got a lot of really good baseball in there. And, I think we saw it the second half of the 23 season. Again, like that's all, again, like part of having a core group of guys. There may be, a year or a period of time, or half a season where guys don't quite perform at the level that they're expecting themselves to perform to. But I think the good news for us is that Xander's coming back, and he's going to do everything he can this offseason, knowing him, his personality, his makeup, to come back and be an all-star caliber player. Again, he got us. There were some big hits there, some big home runs, some big at bats. And I think for us, like, to be the team that we need to be next year, it's going to involve Xander right in the middle of it, and looking up and having him have a Bogaerts type year. And that's a guy that's going to be among the league leaders in average, a guy that, starts to fill up, the doubles and home run side of things. He can play up the middle. We saw that at second base. He got better and better as the year went, the first half went, then he switched over to shortstop. We'll talk to him about that and where that looks. But yeah, if we're going to be, a playoff team next year, my guess is we're having this conversation next year, and we look up and Xander, has an all-star type season. And I feel very confident he's capable of doing that. And I feel very confident he's going to look at this year. Part of it was the injury. But I think he's going to look at this year and make some adjustments to make sure that he comes back next year and he's back as one of the top players in the game, and excited to see that for him.
You know what that answer tells me is that because of the salary constraints with this roster, you're going to need guys once again to be like really good. And Xander is one of them, because I don't know if they're going to be able to bring back Jurickson Profar. And even if they did bring back Jurickson Profar, is he going to replicate an all-star season like he did this past year? I don't know about that one. And that tells me that they're going to put a lot of emphasis on Xander needs to be an all-star next year. Because if he's not, there ain't going to be like reinforcements behind him that are going to pick up the slack like they did this year.
Well, and also this spoiler alert to AJ, who said, we're expecting him next year to be, one of the game's top players. Spoiler alert for Padres fans, it's not happening. There's no chance in hell Xander Bogaerts is a top 10 offensive player in the game. I mean,
So
I
what
don't
do you
know if
want
he
to
ever
say, though?
in Boston. Well, I don't know if I would have gone as far. All-star caliber, okay. He finished that by saying we expect him to be one of the top offensive players. I mean, he said something like that. Top offensive performers in the game. This guy's a Padre. You pulled it up as well. Has a 747 OPS in 2 years. And also something AJ said, hey, great players, you're relying on track records. They can have bad halves of seasons. Agreed. Yeah. He's had 2 bad years. By his standards, he's had 2 bad years. Look at his numbers in Boston, which was a much better hitter's yard. 814 career OPS. Here, it's 747. Is 32-year-old Xander Bogaerts, who's bounced around positions, coming off injuries, going to bounce back and have a career year in 2025?
You better hope so.
I hope so.
You better hope so. Wherever he's playing on the diamond, if it's second, if it's short, it's DH, hell, if it's first base, like wherever he's playing, it doesn't matter to me as much as what he does at the plate.
I agree.
He needs to put together
800 OPS.
Like if you give me a year like he did in 2022 with Boston, 150 games, 307 average, 833 OPS, 15 homers, 38 doubles.
That's the year.
You need to have that type of year. That's who they're paying you to be. I don't know if he's ever going to be that again, which is it's a problem. It's a problem for the Padres. And it's a little worrisome hearing AJ talk about how they need Xander to be that player going forward, when we all know that's not going to happen most likely. He could. I would love to be proven wrong. I would love at the end of next year,
I agree,
at this time being like, wow, Xander led them to the NLCS. Like he had an amazing year, all-star, hit over 300, had almost 40 doubles, OPS and over 800. I just am not holding my breath.
Let me ask you this. Is this an upward trend or a downward trend?
Oh, I like this game.
939.
Okay.
OPS in 2019. All right. This is from 2019 on. 939. 867.
Okay.
863. That's identical. I'll give him that. 833. 790. Wheels fall off 688. That's not ages 22 through 27. That's ages 27 through 32. He's on the backside of his career, and maybe he'll have a year like one of those 2019, 20, or 21 seasons.
That's like an anomaly.
But he's not going to have 9 of them. I know that. He's not going to have anywhere near 9 of them. So you got to get back to your point to being that 2022 guy, and you need to do it in 2025, or this has turned out to be one of the worst contracts you could possibly have given out.
You also look at his slugging. 502 or 555. 502, 493, 456, 440, 381. It's a little scary to think that this organization may be putting a lot on Xander's shoulders come 2025, because they might not be able to make all the moves that they want to make. They're going to have to pick and choose. And I think that they're going to pick pitching, which I'm totally fine with, and I understand it. I think pitching is the utmost importance in the offseason to get done with Joe's injury and so forth. So going out and signing a big bat, or making a trade for a big bat, potentially could happen. But if you make a trade for a big bat, you're probably going to be trading for a guy that's making a little bit of money. And I don't know how that's going to fit into this payroll, into this into this roster. So if you're relying on Xander to be the 2022 Xander, good luck. I hope he turns out that way. I hope he has a year where he proves everybody wrong, because if not, then it's pretty clear that he ain't gonna go back to that guy. And it's also pretty clear that the reasons why this team can't go out and make the necessary moves to build a World Series roster is because you got Xander's $26 million clogging the hole.
Yeah, and I get Vector 53's point on our YouTube chat, which is, hey, you could have just had Soto if you didn't commit the money to Bogarts. I don't think that's entirely true because in real time, we were at the winter meetings. You're 2 years from Soto's free agency. 280 is nothing like what Juan Soto ultimately will receive.
Right.
They didn't have any assurance, even that offseason, that Juan Soto was likely to stay. It's hard to go down that path. For whatever, they were really motivated that offseason to make a splash.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Weren't they? With the Judge meeting with Seidler in the offices,
Turner,
and Bogarts. I mean, they offered multiple deals. They got turned down by Judge and Turner.
Did they offer Turner like $350?
And what'd they offer Judge?
Like $400?
And then ultimately $280, which is more than double what the Red Sox had offered Xander Bogarts.
And no one else was offering that.
Right.
Turner, he got a massive, he took less money to go to Philly.
Yep.
And Judge
took less
money to go stay with the Yankees.
Yeah.
And we know that Judge was heavily coveted by the Giants, the Yankees, here in San Diego. Yeah. Trey Turner was another guy coveted by multiple teams.
Yeah, definitely.
Xander wasn't really coveted by multiple teams,
including his own,
to that extent of $280 million.
Right. I mean, his own team was not willing to go much above 100 or 120 or whatever it was. Yeah. So obviously a huge year coming up for Xander Bogarts. On the other side, we'll get to Is That Good? The best and worst of the sports weekend. We've got a 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld's Howl O Scream to give away in the 4 o'clock hour. Then in the 5 o'clock hour, San Diego State, Washington State. We have a pair of tickets for Saturday's homecoming. This is Jon and Jim. All right, Mark Ziegler will join us at 5 p.m. We'll get into the Aztecs getting ready for their men's basketball season. They had a close scrimmage yesterday in Westwood, and they beat UCLA down 5 scholarship players. San Diego State beat UCLA down 5 scholarship players. We'll talk to Mark about that. Coming up at 5 p.m., we have tickets to give away for homecoming. We'll do that. Coming up, we have Hal O'Scream tickets to give away as well. But right now, let's get to this.
Is that good?
Wilcox, snapper, Huber, holder, from 29 yards away. Oh, he missed it badly. Kick on the way. Boswell. That's a winner.
The good and bad from the sports weekend.
Juan Soto, John, have you heard of him?
Yeah, whatever came of him after the trade?
You know,
Is he toiled between AAA and
he
the
still
big
in the
leagues? Yeah, is he in or is he in Scranton?
I think he's played a couple games this year.
Okay.
Dude, in the ALCS, it's crazy that he put up these numbers and he did win ALCS MVP.
ALCS MVP went to
Giancarlo Stanton.
That's right.
Because
Stanton had some
Stanton had
moments.
4 homers
Yeah,
in the ALCS.
Yep.
Soto, ho-hum, only had 3.
Yeah.
In the ALCS, he hit 368 with 3 homers and a 1373 OPS. Brent, is that good?
Here's the other thing about that, Jim. The at-bat that he homered in
Was
was pure theater. He fouled off, I forget the exact number, 4, 5, 6 pitches.
Yeah.
But this idea that, he's always hunting walks, and we talked about it here. It's not, and maybe sometimes he is.
Yeah.
But his 2-strike approach here in the postseason, specifically in that at-bat, was unbelievable. He's not hunting anything other than good pitches, and he was waiting and waiting and waiting for the opportunity. Got one fastball in the sequence. He hit it out.
There was a breakdown that I saw online, and he was on this guy from the word go.
Mm-hmm.
Every pitch
Yep.
that he fouled off, he's just like, oh, I'm waiting for it. I'm on it. And the one fastball that pitcher
Only
threw,
fastball he got. Yeah.
incredible at bat, incredible player.
When he's fully right, which is often, he's an unbelievable hitter. And his plate discipline is just unmatched. It really is. All right, is that good? How about, listen, we're not going to harp a lot on Jim's Niners. I feel bad for Jim, kind of. But so I'm going to say it this way. Mahomes and Purdy combined for 0 touchdowns thrown and 5 picks. 2 picks for Mahomes, 3 for Purdy. 0 TD passes from Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy, who met last year in the Super Bowl. Is that good?
No, it's not good. Are you kidding me?
I think it was pretty amazing.
I think it was the worst combined quarterback rating between 2 QBs in like 30 years or something.
Wow. I mean, these are
I don't know the exact
that's
date,
amazing. With at least one of them going to the Hall of Fame. That's amazing.
Yeah. I know. It was incredible to watch.
Incredible.
Yeah. Speaking of these loser fraud 49ers, Kyle Shanahan in his career as a head coach is now 0-40 in the regular season when trailing by 8 points or more.
No.
Yeah.
At any point?
Yeah.
What?
No, it's not good. Are you kidding
Now,
me?
I know he's got the Lions game in the postseason, which is a big caveat. It is a championship.
It's very
game.
ironic because he does have 2 wins in his career, including the postseason.
What's
as a
the other
coach.
one other than the Lions?
There's the Packers game.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's ironic that he has
That is
2
ironic.
wins.
I'd rather have
last
those 2
year.
wins.
Yeah. Last year's postseason against the Packers at home, trailing, and then against the Lions in the
How is
title
he
game.
8 points at any point? 0-40 in the regular season. That is shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking to me.
Fraud.
All right. Speaking of a fraud, actually, I'm not going to do that. Shohei Ohtani.
No, he's not a fraud.
I went down that path.
I thought you were saying, I was like, you
down
got
that
2
path.
ways here.
I'm not-
Which way are you going? Which
I
way are
went
you
down
going?
that path. Shohei Ohtani has been very good. He's 18 for his last 23 with runners in scoring position, going back to the regular season. That's an average of, I think, 763 with 7 home runs. Not very fraudulent. Is that good?
It is good.
18 for his last 23?
Yeah,
Like
dude,
what?
it's incredible. It's ridiculous. Finally, the New York Liberty, John.
I saw that.
By the way, I watched like the 4th quarter of that game in overtime. I think the Minnesota Lynx head coach after the game said we got robbed.
Did they?
Yeah, she said
But did they get robbed?
They did.
Having watched it,
Breonna Stewart had a phantom foul called against her, for her, that put her to the line with like 3 seconds left to tie the game up.
she had 2 free throws.
She did. It was a joke, but Liberty won their first WNBA championship in franchise history. Spike Lee was there. He was excited.
Is that team still owned by Josiah?
Yeah,
I think they are.
Yeah,
I think they are.
First
Okay.
WNBA championship in franchise history. Brent, is that good?
It is good.
Yeah, Josiah is the owner, San Diego resident. Josiah
That
doesn't
was-
own the New York Liberty.
Like after the game, Holly Rowe was saying this was some of the best. I'm sorry, Holly.
It wasn't great.
That game was ugly. Sabrina Ionesco went 1 for 19, John.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did.
In the win?
In the win, 1 for 19.
1 for 19. Imagine if they would have lost.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was bad.
Well, I need to see the ratings on that. I need to see the ratings.
They're going
I
up
think
against
good.
NFL and I think
know.
baseball.
Oh, they were. They were.
Not great.
My final one is BJ Davis, San Diego State sophomore guard. Listen to this. Closed door scrimmage at UCLA. They're without Nick Boyd. They're without, who else? Wayne McKinney. They're without Reese Waters. They're without 3 veteran guards. They're in Westwood. They're at Pauley. BJ Davis goes 8 of 9 from the floor, hits 6 threes, scores 28 points, and the Aztecs beat UCLA, albeit in a scrimmage. 72-67 by 28 from the sophomore guard BJ Davis. Is that good?
It is good.
How about that, Jim? We'll talk to Mark Ziegler about 28 points. I get it, it's a scrimmage, but he had to make the shots. He was 6 of 7 from 3.
I forget his name.
Urson Demir.
Urson Demir, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
If you remember the name, you're a deep cut fan of Jon and Jim. Because
Right.
He's a draft analyst and he analyzes like the middle tier kind of unknown players. And we talked to him months ago
About Keyshawn Johnson and Jaden Ledee.
and randomly, was it off air or on air?
Oh, it was on air.
It was on air. He's like, BJ Davis.
Keep an eye on him.
Remember that name.
And we were like, oh, wow.
Like, okay.
And then BJ Davis had a promising offseason and then did that. Now, is he going to have the opportunity to score 28 points
It's
every
a
game?
scrimmage.
There's, again, no McKinney, Boyd, Waters is a lot of your team.
And also, it's
a
much
scrimmage.
different when you're going up against a team in a scrimmage.
Yeah.
The atmosphere, there's no fans, no
Yeah.
pressure on you at all. And then to do that in a regular game is much different.
But 28 points, 6 made threes. That's a good
Encouraging.
sign.
Yeah.
Encouraging and a very good sign for the Aztecs. We'll get to the wrap on the other side. We'll hear from Aaron Boone on Juan Soto's first year in pinstripes. We've got Hal O'Scream tickets, the 4 o'clock hour, and homecoming tickets for Saturday at Snapdragon to give away in the 5 o'clock hour. Hour 2, Jon and Jim next.
All right, this update is brought to you by the Del Mar Racetrack's Bing Crosby season. The World Series is set. Yankees and Dodgers. Game 1 will be this Friday in LA, 5:08. First pitch for every game of the World Series. San Diego FC announced today their inaugural match in 2025 will be on the road versus the LA Galaxy on February 22nd. And the club's first home match will be on March 1st at 7:30 p.m. for St. Louis City SC. And in a closed-door scrimmage over the weekend, San Diego State beat UCLA 72-67. BJ Davis scored 28 points in the scrimmage. The Bing Crosby season opens Thursday, October 31st at Del Mar, kicking off a month of great racing and events. Don't miss Uncorked Derby Days Wine Fest on Saturday, November 9th, Beer and Cider Fest on Saturday, November 23rd, and Family Fun Day on Friday, November 29th.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. We are here until 6 p.m. Mark Ziegler from the UT will talk to us about Aztecs basketball at 5 o'clock off that closed-door scrimmage win at UCLA. We'll get you ready for homecoming at 5:15 with Aztecs defensive coordinator Eric Schmidt. And in that 5 o'clock hour, you want to be here. We've got a pair of tickets to give away for San Diego State, Washington State, Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium. So we'll do that. We're going to hear from Aaron Boone on Juan Soto. If you missed anything from AJ Preller, who spoke with the media earlier today, we'll share some of that with you as well over the next couple of hours. And should we get to it? Should we get to the wrap? Let's think. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do
It's
it.
time for the wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Got tons of choices. Who should play shortstop for the Pods in 2025?
Like currently on the roster?
You can pick anyone if you want. Want to get creative?
Swearing.
Like Nicky Ahmed?
Nicky Ahmed. Dude, hold on. I'm just going to look here real quick.
Available free agent shortstops?
Available free agent shortstops.
Hassan Kim.
Two for the Brewers, who we can't afford.
Dude, there's not a lot of good options here. I think Xander's going to start at short next year. Like, I don't know if he's going to play all season there, but I think he could start there. And don't rule out the possibility of Hassan Kim returning. I don't know how likely that is, but don't rule it out. And with what AJ said today about Hassan Kim's shoulder and labrum and how he's not going to be ready for the start of spring training, you could see a situation. Maybe they pick up, or maybe he does pick up his mutual option for 2025 because he knows the market's not going to give him what he wants because of his injury.
That's a good point.
And he
test
can
it again next year.
Rebuild his market value for next season. And if that were to happen, which I think would be a good thing for all parties, personally, he's not going to be ready for the start of the year, so Xander will have to play short. And once Kim returns, then Kim's going to be their shortstop.
Well, it's just interesting that you would do that with Bogaerts again. Like, is he this versatile utility piece?
He's not, but
he doesn't scream that to me, but I get it. You're paying him a lot of money. So if he needs to start the year at short and then move over to second, okay. I think what's most likely is Bogaerts at short over Kim at short. Because to your point, even if Kim's back, when do we even see him on field?
Maybe you don't want him making those throws right away from second.
Yeah,
if he returns, I don't know if he's going to return or not.
I mean, the Merrill Tatis thing is just kind of, it's not happening, right?
I hope it doesn't happen.
I hope it doesn't happen. I mean, it's kind of cool to talk about. I mean, the idea of seeing Fernando Tatis Jr. back in the infield is something that's cute to talk about in the offseason, or maybe the same thing with Jackson Merrill. I just don't think it makes any sense. They're performing admirably at their current positions. You don't need to rock the boat there. You've got internal options, including the $280 million man and Xander Bogaerts. So it's going to be Bogaerts or it's going to be Kim, but I think it's Bogaerts over Kim.
I think one of the biggest reasons why Jackson Merrill excelled this year is because he didn't play shortstop, because he didn't have to think all the time.
Right.
And he didn't have to, make perfect throws all the time. They just put him out in the outfield. He's an amazing athlete. He has a lot of speed. Just go track down baseballs.
I think it's easier for him to stay healthy or in the outfield too than it is.
Yeah,
in the
probably,
because he's not diving pretty much on every play.
Yeah.
Same thing with Tatis.
Yeah, no doubt. Next question.
Sorry, Jim. Are the Niners a playoff team?
All right. Can you give me 30 seconds?
You can have longer than that.
Okay. It's over. All right. This team is a bunch of overhyped, fraudulent, can't get it done losers. Kyle Shanahan, I think, is a great head coach. Unfortunately, he's always the bridesmaid, never the bride. He will never win a Super Bowl with the 49ers as their head coach. Do I think he's going to win a Super Bowl in his lifetime? Yes, I do as a head coach. But it ain't happening with the 49ers. Time of death on the 49ers, quote-unquote, window was 10-20-24 against the Chiefs at home. It's over. It's done. It's over. This core ain't winning a Super Bowl. They're not getting it done. They're overhyped. They got too much in their heads. It's done.
Is it possible you're overreacting?
The closest that they'll ever be with this core
is overtime.
Is last year against the Chiefs in overtime.
Maybe you're probably right. I think that point is valid, but they're a game out in their division. And now you're right. There's a long way between being a 4 seed or a 6 seed or a 7 seed and being the top seed and getting back to the Super Bowl. But are we really willing to say that they're not? Let's say they got to the postseason and they had Christian McCaffrey and they got healthier with some of these injuries that they've had. Are they not capable in the postseason of making a run?
You just have vibes on teams,
and this team ain't it.
Like last year, we had the vibe on the 2023 Padres. Like that
Right.
team wasn't it.
So that's how you feel about the Niners.
This team
Okay.
ain't it. There's no way you can lose a Super Bowl how you did. Have all the drama in the offseason with the stupid Brandon Ayuk contract and then the stupid holdout of Trent Williams and then the injury to McCaffrey in week 1. And then, unfortunately, the season-ending injury to Brandon Ayuk, which, shocker, I mean, it was a freak injury, but, of course he signs a massive contract. And of course he gets his knee torn up. Of course it happens. There's no way that a team, after all of that, just all of a sudden magically, we figured it out.
Well,
no,
at least,
it's over.
this
core is done.
Aaron you can hang out with Aaron on Sundays.
fly, Eagle,
it
fly.
sounds like you guys, no, you don't even, you could go, I don't know, go frolic at the beach or go to the pool or, play catch with Aaron and bring Bentley out and throw him a boomerang or whatever.
Do a lot more walks with Bentley.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want on Sunday night. Next question.
We'll go back.
I don't care.
Do you take anything away from the Aztecs' win over UCLA in a closed-door scrimmage yesterday? Go, John.
Can I have 30 seconds? I'm just kidding.
Can I have 30 seconds?
Of course you do. I mean, you can't read too much into it one way or the other. You don't want to lose the game by 40 points, but a win doesn't mean you're going to have a good team, and a loss doesn't mean you're going to have a bad team. They made a national championship game and scrimmaged UCLA that year, and they trailed 18-2 in that game. They came back and lost a close game, I think, that year. So I think it's encouraging. I think when you're without really good players like Reese Waters and Nick Boyd and Wayne McKinney, and you can go on the road and you can win and you can hold UCLA to 34% shooting. I think some of the stuff that's real is this. Defense is real. That's not fake. The other team's trying to score. And that BJ Davis going 8 of 9 from the floor, that's real. He had to make the shots. He hit 6 threes in the game. So, yeah, I take something away from it, but I don't put everything into it, whether they won or lost the game. But, yeah, I put something into it. Jim?
I put a little into it. I think the one thing that we got from talking with the team and some coaches on Friday was, the injuries are not great, like timing-wise. Not that the injuries are not great, but the timing of the injuries aren't great. But that it's an opportunity for these young guys to get some run. And
they weren't kidding.
No, they were not. And
did you see the box score?
I did.
By chance?
Yeah,
Magugwa, 10 points, 8 turnovers. BJ, Miles Bird had I forget what, 9.6 rebounds, 5 assists. So filled it out nicely. Pharaoh Compton, I think, had a couple of slams in the game.
Yeah.
Freshman forward.
And then BJ Davis broke out.
BJ Davis, 28 points. So,
Steph Curry.
they play October 30th against San Marcos in front of fans at Viejas Arena. True exhibition. And then November 6th right here on San Diego Sports 760 against UC State.
Imagine if this team starts this year with like the younger players on the team, and they do play really well. That bodes extremely well for when the vets get back and for the guys that they have with Wayne McKinney and, Reese Waters,
Nick Boyd.
If those guys put those guys in, then you have behind them some people that have experience already under their belt to start the season.
In baseball, we call good problems when you have multiple shortstops. If you have multiple talented lead guards, that's okay. It'll figure itself out. If someone needs to play 28 minutes as opposed to 32 because someone provides more opportunities off the bench, that's not a bad thing.
Yep.
Final question.
The NBA regular season finally begins tomorrow.
Finally.
Who do you think is the favorite to win it all? For me, it feels like the preseason's taken forever this year.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just seems like it's dragging on.
They played, I think, 6 total games.
Yeah.
Preseason?
Yeah. The favorite. Oh, man.
Is it Boston?
I would think it's Boston.
Boston. I think New York's top 5 right now as far as like odds go, which is kind of weird.
Where's like Denver?
Well, they got Cat now, and
Yeah.
so
I'll just go with Boston, I guess, because I don't really have a good feel on the NBA season just right yet.
Yeah, I don't have a good feel for the West. I feel like in the East, your players. Boston, Philadelphia, New York.
Hey,
right?
the Warriors went 6-0 in the preseason.
Oh, maybe the Warriors. And then there's like young random teams like Oklahoma City was amazing last year, right?
Minnesota, but they lost Cat.
Yeah. I'll go with Boston. That's probably the safe bet.
yeah, but they got Dante DiVincenzo.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They're back.
What about the Mavs with a broken Klay Thompson,
What about the Lakers?
with a broken everybody and Bronny?
Right. What about the old Lakers?
Bronny's gonna
Dude,
take them all the way.
What about the Clippers?
I watched that Lakers Warriors preseason finale where the
Okay.
Lakers sat everybody and they had Bronny play like 40 minutes, and the Lakers lost by I think 60. It was
How'd Bronny look?
It was so funny because Bronny had like 17 points.
But it was minus 50.
but he was minus I think 48 in the box score.
Oh my gosh.
It was so bad.
What was that his again? Preseason, like exhibition games, we're taking with grains of salt,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
And it was so ridiculous how after the game, Warriors won by, I'm not even joking you, 60 points.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing like ESPN, Bleacher Report, other places being like, Bronny balled out.
Bronny torches Warriors in 60-point loss.
17 points.
It's like that meme, right? Like Chris Paul's 3 cuts it to a 42-point game or whatever.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was.
All right, here's what we're going to do on the other side. We're going to get back to this World Series. When does the World Series? I know it's been in the updates. What's the
Friday.
day? It's Friday. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Started on a non-football day, not a Thursday night football, not Sunday night football. Started on a Friday, Saturday, then travel day, Sunday.
I would have been cool if they moved it up to Wednesday
True.
because, they said they were going to move it up, but only if teams went 5 or less.
And then one of them went 6.
Lame.
All right, so on the other side, what does Yankees manager Aaron Boone have to say about Juan Soto and the job that Soto has done in his first year in pinstripes? We'll hear from Aaron Boone on the other side. Trainwreck Radio is still ahead. Your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld's Howl O Scream. We've got tickets to give away to Homecoming as well in the 5 o'clock hour. It's Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, it is Jon and Jim, and we've been telling you about our friends over at Hamul Casino. They've got some unbelievable promotions this month and great opportunities to watch all the action, whether it's the NFL with Monday Night Football, 2 Monday Night Football games tonight, in fact. And of course, the World Series is starting later this week as well. So make sure to get to Hamul each and every Monday night specifically. Great promotions going on right now at Hamul.
Yeah, you can get 10 winners every hour at Hamul at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m. Onyx players will receive an extra $100 in bonus cash on top of their winnings. Plus, you earn entries all month long by playing and getting 2-time entries on Tuesdays with at least $500 in cash for all winners and a chance to win up to $25,000 in cash.
Tonight is a great night to get out there. Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. There are not one but 2 Monday Night Football games tonight. So get to Hummel tonight. Tony Gwynn Sports Pub has all the food and drink you could possibly want. Huge televisions, great Tony Gwynn memorabilia as well. And then Hummel is endless dining 5 nights a week. Their endless dining options include Saturday Surf and Turf Buffet. They've gone over the top with perfect combinations of steaks, seafood, and more.
Yeah, Tony Gwynn Sports Pub is the place to be during the postseason for an NFL game. They have great food, great atmosphere. Get to Hummel Casino today. It's fun above all else.
All right, Jon and Jim back with you. Again, Mark Ziegler from UT will join us at 5 p.m. We'll talk some San Diego State basketball. We're getting closer to the Aztecs opener. Eric Schmidt will join us at 5:15. San Diego State's defensive coordinator for football. Wait for Saturday. San Diego State against Washington State. So what was the most ridiculous thing you heard about Juan Soto over the last year?
Walks too much.
Walks too much is a good one. It's a good one.
Clubhouse cancer.
Clubhouse cancer. Late to a bus.
Late to a bus.
He was late to a bus once.
Didn't come through here with the Padres.
Not a team guy?
Not a team guy.
Oh, he quit on the team. Remember in Seattle, he said that they quit?
Didn't perform here.
Right.
Selfish.
Did we hear overrated?
Yeah,
I think we did.
A couple overrateds.
Only cares about money.
Yeah, only cared about money.
Those are some good ones.
Yeah.
He's not the same player here that he was in DC.
Yeah, right.
All right, Aaron Boone disagrees. Now, he happens to be the manager of the Yankees, and he spoke for about 2 minutes on what Soto has meant to the Yankees. Does this sound like a player that sabotaged the Padres 2023 season or not?
I know we talk so much about him as a baseball player, the person that you're around, and all the different layers to him. Like, how much have you enjoyed that part over this
I've
year?
loved it. He's one of the things. Start with his love of the game. Like you just get that from him right away. You can tell he loves baseball and he loves everything that goes into that. The preparation for it, the intelligence he has as a hitter, his care about the entire game, but also his ability to come over here as a big star with obviously a lot of fanfare and a lot of expectation, and in his free agent year and where all that, he's really just integrated into the clubhouse in short order, really starting in spring training so well. And he's just, I hate to put it this way sometimes, and I've said this over the years about certain guys, but for being Juan Soto and this huge, he's low maintenance, I don't have to, he's easy to be around. He's a good guy. You can coach him, there's been many times this year in a game or whatever where I've said something to him like, hey, can't, and he's not, he takes it and applies it and understands and, cares about all the things you need to be a winning player, not just being a great hitter. Like, he cares about his defense. He cares about running the bases. He cares about being a good teammate and sharing information. And I think he also respects how hard the game is and the grind of the game too. He's been awesome. He really has. I've loved every second of him being here, and hopefully he's here a long time.
Who's that? Who's he talking about? Because that's not the one so that everybody here thinks he is.
Talking about Aaron Judge. No, that's on Juan Soto. I mean, listen, Juan Soto, I don't even know why I have some desire to defend him. I mean, it speaks for itself, Juan Soto. Not just the numbers, but his desire to win. He won as a young player in Washington, right? And then he did win here. Maybe not at the level people wanted him to, but he was a part of 2022. You detailed his postseason successes, and now he's winning again in 2024. This should come as no surprise. Juan Soto is going to go down. I've said this so many times. What side of history do you want to be on? Oh, Juan Soto was a cancer when he's a first ballot Hall of Famer at 99% with multiple rings? Do you want to be on that side and say, hey, Padres was a part of his legacy? I don't know what side I'm saying. Do you want to, Juan Soto's going into the Hall of Fame as a first ballot guy. Do you want to continue to pretend like this guy wasn't all that when he was here?
Yeah. Do you want to view Juan Soto as he was the reason why 2023 happened? Or are you going to view it as dude was the best player in 2023? He's a top 5 player in the sport. It didn't work out here. And, did it suck to trade Juan Soto? Yeah. I would have loved to watch Juan Soto here for another season. But it was a trade that unfortunately had to be made. And I don't think the Padres make the postseason this year without that trade, but also the Yankees clearly have the leg up in that deal because guess what? They're in the World Series. They got the best player. We've talked about that in 2022. If you get the best player, you win the trade. And the Yankees got the best player by a mile, and they are in the World Series.
Yeah. So I understand that when your team no longer has that player, you have this immediate reaction to put it on the player that's out the door. Right?
Guy sucks. I hate that guy. He's the problem.
That's fandom. I mean, I think Dodger fans did it with Manny. So I understand it.
Well,
right now, you got to be careful though there with all players, right? Because I've said this before. It's it can't just be this black and white decision that while the player's here, he can do no wrong, and when the player isn't here, he can do no right. Right now, people were critical of Juan Soto, to be fair, in 2023, and they were critical of the Padres in 2023. But again, was Juan Soto? Let's get to the bottom of 2023. I've tried for a year, and when I get to the bottom of 2023, my first culprit is not Soto.
It's really not.
And there's a lot of people probably responsible for the lack of success. Sometimes things don't work.
Yeah,
that's life.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stupid comments. Like somebody in the chat, somebody on my Twitter said,
Yeah.
Padres won the trade. King, and then they got Cease, are worth more than Soto. We also got a starting catcher that's super clutch. I'm like, man, I can't wait to watch the Padres Yankees in the World Series on Friday.
Right.
Then.
Right.
You know, I'm not, by no means am I saying Michael King and Higgy
Those are good players.
and Dylan Cease all suck. Like, no,
They're good.
They're very good. They helped the Padres get to the playoffs this year. But in the end, this trade will be looked at more how it helped the Yankees than it helped the Padres.
Yeah, especially if they win the World Series, it's never the Michael King trade.
It's
If they
always
win
the Juan Soto
always the Juan
trade.
Soto trade, unless you somehow won multiple World Series with someone like Michael King.
Yeah, now if the Padres won the World Series this year, then that's a completely different story.
Of course it is.
But if the Yankees win the World Series this year and Juan Soto has a big World Series against the Dodgers, even if he does leave, it feels like almost like a Kawhi situation where he was a hired hitman for a year. They got the job done, got a World Series, got an NBA championship, and then he gets his money elsewhere. I don't think that's going to happen with New York. Like, I think they're going to make a huge push to keep him, and they're the freaking Yankees, so you better make a push to keep him if you're them. But 2023 boils down to this, as bluntly as I can put it. Manny and Soto, that dynamic didn't work. It caused a ripple down effect. And then the signing of Bogarts and the priority of him over Manny to start the year was a problem. Then the issues with Bob Melvin and AJ Preller trickled down to the clubhouse. It was a problem. Then the team went into a collective slump all year long and couldn't hit with runners in scoring position. It was a trickle down effect where the season tumbled over itself, and all of these problems jumbled up into one created the most disappointing season in franchise history.
Yeah, it's multiple things. You're right. And you can't scapegoat it by just saying it was Juan Soto because it's just not accurate. All right, more on that on the other side, plus your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld's Howl O Scream. It's Jon and Jim.
All right, this update's brought to you by the Del Mar Racetrack's Bing Crosby season. The World Series is set. Yankees and Dodgers kick off on Friday. 5:08 first pitch in LA will be game one. All games will be at 5:08. San Diego FC announced their inaugural match in 2025 will be on the road versus the LA Galaxy on February 22nd. And the club's first home match at Snapdragon Stadium will be at 7:30 p.m. on March 1st versus St. Louis City SC. And in a closed-door scrimmage over the weekend, San Diego State beat UCLA 72-67. The Bing Crosby season opens Thursday, October 31st at Del Mar, kicking off a month of great racing and events. Don't miss Uncorked Derby Days, Wine Fest on Saturday, November 9th, Beer and Cider Fest on Saturday, November 23rd, and Family Fun Day on Friday, November 29th.
All right, we're back. Jon Jim, San Diego 760, Mark Ziegler at 5 p.m. Eric Schmidt, Aztec defensive coordinator, will get us ready for homecoming. Will join us at 5:15. We have Aztec tickets to give away for Saturday. We'll do that in the 5 o'clock hour. We have Howl O'Scream tickets to give away this hour. We'll let you know how to win those tickets coming up in about 10 or so minutes. Real quick on the deep dive, which we'll never get to the bottom of. How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of the Tootsie Pop? The whole Soto San Diego era.
Okay.
We'll never get to the bottom of it. You may think you've gotten to the bottom of it, but not everyone's going to agree.
I think it's more of a narrative than a deep dive that is out there that it will never go away with fans, because fans are going to always back the Padres and their view, for whatever reason. And I think it has to do with some people in the media in this town that have created this false narrative that Juan Soto was the problem, or Juan Soto's not a good clubhouse guy, or Juan Soto was this and that, and he was a reason. Because you always need a scapegoat when things don't go right. And you're not going to scapegoat Manny, even though he was a huge problem in 2023. So what are you going to do? You're going to scapegoat the guy that's not here anymore. That's Juan Soto, and that's Bob Melvin.
100% spot on. And I was, not to take unnecessary shots at Manny Machado, who's had some really, really great moments, not just good moments. He's had great moments in a Padres uniform. But to tell the full story of Manny Machado is to tell the story of the highest paid player in the history of the organization that has not produced in postseasons as of yet. And to your point, there was only one article that was critical of one main player of 2023. And the criticism was levied at Manny Machado. It wasn't levied at Juan Soto. So knowing that, and again, knowing that who Soto was before San Diego and knowing who Soto is after San Diego, is it really Soto is the point. And I'm not saying it's Manny, but I'm just saying that why is it Soto? If it's not Manny, who hasn't hit in the postseason here, hasn't won at the highest level yet here, has had some great moments and halves and even years. He's been a very good player, but heavy's the head that wears the crown. If it isn't Manny, then why is it Soto?
Manny had a fantastic year this year as far as being a leader in that clubhouse. And then the second half for him was phenomenal. It's phenomenal. He turned it around in a big way. And I think he had a really, really, really good bounce back year off of 2023. But, looking at Manny Machado, he did not function well when he wasn't the main alpha dog in the room. He's got to be the main alpha. He's got to be the big dog. He's got to be the quote unquote best player on the team. He's got to be the guy. It just has to be. Everybody has to look at Manny Machado. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but when you stick another alpha with him up at his level and frankly better than him at the plate, maybe an overall player, like defensively, Manny's better defensively at his position than Soto is, even though Soto keeps getting nominated for Gold Glove awards and Manny doesn't. It's very weird. But that dynamic just didn't work. Now, it's worked in New York with Aaron Judge, and it worked in Washington, even though there wasn't really like an equal to Soto as far as talent goes on the Nationals team.
Well, he wasn't even.
But he was 21 years old.
Right. He was like a backstory that emerged.
Yeah, he was like an up-and-comer, like, oh my God, who is this guy?
Yeah, exactly. So he wasn't probably an alpha within their clubhouse at the time. He was by the time he left. All right, I want to go to the phones. And if you want to weigh in on this, 877-767-4760.
I feel we're gonna get yelled at here.
I'm excited to hear this. And all opinions are going to be heard. 877-767-4760. There's no wrong opinion here. And Christine wants to weigh in. She's on with Jon and Jim. And Christine, thanks for calling in.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks. I just think we beat the horse to death, guys.
Probably.
I don't know how much. I mean, let me know when you guys are done talking about Soto, and I'll turn the show back on. But
you're listening because we are talking about why wouldn't we talk about Juan Soto when the Padres are out of the postseason and the New York Yankees are in it?
If it makes everybody feel better, then I guess go ahead. I'm of a different viewpoint, and it doesn't make me feel any better to rehash what's in the past. So
that's fair.
Okay.
Completely fair.
I love the show, though.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, Christine. Appreciate
Keep
it.
listening. We're not talking about Juan Soto for the next 5 months, but it's got to be relevant the day after he hits the big home run to send the Yankees to the World Series. And he was like the pariah on the way out.
It's just it's storylines that write itself that you don't want it to be written because you
I
wish
hate
it was
too.
you wished that in the World Series was the Padres.
And they were close. But guess what? This isn't horseshoes or hand grenades.
They weren't really close, but they were.
They've been over the last 3 years, they've been relatively close. They had an NLCS run with him.
Did you hear the new slogan for the Padres?
Relatively close.
No, the new slogan this offseason. You know what that is? You know the new.
What is it?
Hey, we've won a postseason series through the last 5 years.
Did he say that today, by the way? I was wondering. I know he said they were in the postseason through the last 5. Did he mention winning a series?
He did.
Which is good. It's not a bad thing.
No.
They've been a tough. Would you agree with this? They could also put this on banners. And if you want to weigh in, 877-767-4760. Would you agree with this? Put this on a banner. They're like a top 8-ish franchise since 2020.
Yes.
But would you agree? Like they're like a top quarter.
Of
the teams.
They've definitely climbed the ladder over the last 10 years to a point now where they have superstar players that you can root for, that you love, that perform mostly on the field. And that ballpark is sold out every single night. It's a fun time to go. And you hope that the core that they have gets them to a World Series at least.
I understand. Christine's point is valid. Like the Padres were out of the postseason within the last 10 days. And now like you're kicking a dead horse.
It's fully dead.
It sucks the way it played out. But now we could move on to Chris Godwin, Mike Evans talk.
But also here's the facts. The World Series got set last night, and Juan Soto hit a 3-run home run in Game 5 on the road to lead the Yankees to a World Series. How are we not going to talk about Juan Soto?
And the truth is, not everyone is talking about it.
No.
But it's like you said, it's the story that writes itself. If you want to talk Chargers, Cardinals, well, you can listen to it at 6 p.m. If you want to hear about Baker Mayfield and all the success he's had, we'll talk about it, I'm sure. But like to me, it's overly relevant for San Diegans, the way the Padres season ended and this offseason, this critical offseason heading into 2025. I think there's more people that want to hear us talk about the Padres than want to hear talk about Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it just further proves that whatever narrative you have out there or had out there from the Soto deal, from him being an issue and him being a problem, it 100% looks even more foolish today because of everything that's transpired.
Yeah, and I understand it. It was not a good ending to the year, and it's going to absolutely suck to see one of these two teams win the World Series.
It's a no-win situation.
It's not. Yeah,
it's a no-win.
And truthfully, I want to see Juan Soto win the World Series because Dodgers winning it is not going to be good for San Diego Padres fans. Let's go back to the phones and Bryson, who's on line 6. Bryson, appreciate the patience. You're on with Jon and Jim.
Hey, guys. First off, I wanted to say thank you for the Hell of Scream ticket.
Let's go.
Good
stuff.
A week ago.
Did you go?
It was awesome. Yeah, I went with my wife.
Did you scream?
Saturday.
Was it scary?
I got one good jump scare. That might have been from the edibles, but yeah, it was good, man.
The edibles that you okay, right?
Yeah,
not part of the experience.
No.
Yeah.
They don't give it to you.
No. It's not part of the giveaway.
What do you got, man?
But I wanted to say, I mean, for me, I think it's easy to look at Juan Soto as like the blame for what happened, but in all actuality, I think it's just the fact that Bo Mel was not taking charge in the clubhouse and was letting a bunch of alpha dogs try to figure it out. And it just wasn't what was needed. And I like to think if Mike Schilt was the coach at that time, that he might have gotten a ring around it a little bit better and gotten them fighting in the same direction. But I don't put any of the blame on Juan. I honestly put it on the coaching staff.
Real quick, before Bryson goes, hold on.
Yeah.
Are you still there? Before you go,
yeah,
because I respect that opinion. But why? It's tell me if I'm right in saying this. Would you consider putting the blame on Manny as opposed to Melvin, as opposed to
someone who's not here?
Yeah, like could it be? I'm not saying it. Is it possible that the dynamic with Manny Machado at the helm just didn't work, like oil and water?
I think it's possible that they both that Manny wants to be like that guy, but at the same time, Juan Soto, being as young as he was, probably was a little bit more like high on his own horse than he maybe should have been. But at the same time, like, it's Manny's job to look at that and go, this kid's got talent. I need to try and work with him, instead of God only knows whatever he was saying in there. I can see Manny being super, super alpha about it and talking down to him and doing all of that. I can see that. So yeah, I could easily, without a doubt, put some blame on Manny.
Bryson, appreciate it. Good call.
I blame Rugden Odor.
No, it wasn't Odor.
No.
But the truth is, I blame. There's multiple things that went wrong.
Here's the best part about this ridiculous conversation that we have.
It's not that ridiculous.
Here's the best part. Once this World Series ends, I think it's over with.
No, but you know what I'm going to hear when the World Series ends? The Padres are in on Soto.
No,
yes,
no, we're not.
The most ridiculous part of it. That's the most ridiculous take of the last year. Am I wrong? How many times have you seen on social media, look out for the Padres? You've seen it, right?
You have a better chance of them signing Blake Snell than they do Juan Soto.
Oh, interesting. All right, call right now if you
0%
want.
0% chance on both.
You just heard Bryson with the positive remarks on Hallow Scream over at SeaWorld. If you want a free 4-pack of tickets to San Diego's largest nighttime Halloween event, SeaWorld's Hallow Scream, call right now. 877-767-4760. That's 877-767-4760. First two callers will be contestants for trivia. One of you is winning a great prize valued at hundreds of dollars, a 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld's Hallow Scream. Call right now, 877-767-4760. That's next. All right, Mark Ziegler is going to join us from the UT coming up at 5 p.m. Eric Schmidt, Aztecs defensive coordinator, will join us at 5:15. You need to be here at 5:15 and listen to that conversation for a chance to win tickets to homecoming Saturday night, Snapdragon Stadium, San Diego State, Washington State at 7:30. Without further ado, why don't we do this?
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Brandon and Victor. Brandon, you called in first, so you have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
Oh, John.
All right. Thank you, Brandon.
All right, so that means Victor, you get Jim, okay?
All right.
All right. Brent, what's the question of the day?
All right, guys, the NBA regular season begins tomorrow. Today's question, can you name the 8 players that scored the most points in last year's regular season? So we're looking for the 8 players that scored the most points, not points per game, but just points total. So we're looking for the most points scored last season, top 8.
All right.
Okay.
Victor, you're up first. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Luka Doncic.
Luka Doncic.
On the list.
Brandon, back to you. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Let's go with, I don't know how to pronounce it, Giannis.
Giannis.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. No one can pronounce it. Giannis on the list. Victor, back to you. Second guess. You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
How about Jokic?
Nikola
All
Jokic.
right.
There we go.
Yeah.
Brandon, your second guess. You do have a lifeline if you want to use it. What do you got?
Let's go with the lifeline right now.
All right, I'm going to give you one of my favorite names, and I don't even know if I'm going to say it right. I think Jim always butchers it, but I'm going to say it, and I think I get it right. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Oh, what do
I always butcher it.
Okay, I think you say like Gildress.
I might say Gildress.
I think it's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA.
SGA.
Who did he win MVP or finish second?
He did not win MVP.
He was really good.
Yeah.
Really good. You take SGA.
I'm going to take it.
Boom. He was amazing.
All right, Victor, back to you. Final guess. You do have a lifeline if you want to use it. What do you
I'm
got?
glad you just said that, so now I don't have to say his name.
How about Kevin Durant?
KD.
Oh, I have a layup for you. I have a
KD's
layup for you.
on the list.
Oh, I had a layup.
That surprised me. Well, that's a layup.
That's
Top 8 score.
but I didn't.
You have
Okay.
another layup?
I do. Brandon, final guess. You don't have a lifeline, so it's all up to you.
How about Jalen Brunson?
Wow.
That was my layup. That was my layup. Good job.
These guys like work in the NBA.
All right, so we are now going to overtime. Brent, give us the rules of overtime and then the question.
All right, how overtime works is I'm going to ask you another question. When I'm done asking the question, you're going to yell out the name of your partner today, either John or Jim. Don't yell out the answer. Whoever yells out the name of their partner first, you're going to win the game by getting the question right, or you're going to lose the game by getting the question wrong. You guys got it?
Yeah.
All right, today's overtime question. Who do the Chargers play on Monday Night Football?
Jim.
I heard Jim.
All right, what do you got?
Cardinals.
That
The
is
Cardinals.
correct for the win.
Good job,
Victor
Victor.
and Jim
There we go, baby.
have won a 4-pack of tickets, not together. Victor's won the 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld's Hal
Could go
O'Scrib.
together.
Who did we miss? We got 6 of the 8 players that led the NBA in overall points last year.
All right, Luka was number 1. SGA was number 2. Giannis was 3. Brunson was 4. Joker was 5. Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was 6. KD was 7.
Hmm.
We didn't talk about him specifically, but we talked about the team in the 4-4, or not 4, in the rap.
Steph?
No, Jason Tatum.
Oh, Tatum.
Boston.
Okay. There's your list. Victor, you've won a 4-pack of tickets to San Diego's largest nighttime Halloween event, SeaWorld's Hal O'Scrib. Now through November 2nd, 5 terror-filled houses, new scare zones and haunts, and death-defying drops with Rise After Dark, themed food and bars, and the master of ceremonies when all creatures get released tonight. You won't dare venture alone. That's why you get a 4-pack of tickets. For more info, go to SeaWorldSanDiego.com. Mark Ziegler from the Union Tribune will join us on the other side. Also in the 5 o'clock hour, Eric Schmidt, he's San Diego State's defensive coordinator. Big test this weekend for the Aztecs against Washington State, Wazoo has one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, John Mateer. San Diego State has one of the premier edge rushers in America in Trey White. But Eric Schmidt will join us at 5:15. After that conversation, we'll give away 2 free tickets for Saturday's homecoming game at Snapdragon between San Diego State and Washington State. But Mark Ziegler from the UT on Aztecs Hoops will join us next.
This update is brought to you by the Del Mar Racetrack's Bing Crosby season. The World Series is set. Friday will be game 1 at Dodger Stadium between the Dodgers and the Yankees. 5:08 first pitch in every single game in the World Series. San Diego FC announced today their inaugural match in 2025 will be on the road versus the LA Galaxy on February 22nd. And the club's first home match at Snapdragon Stadium will be on March 1st at 7:30 p.m. versus St. Louis City SC. And in a closed-door scrimmage over the weekend, San Diego State took on UCLA. They beat them 72-67. The Bing Crosby season opens Thursday, October 31st at Del Mar, kicking off a month of great racing and events. Don't miss Uncorked Derby Days, Wine Fest on Saturday, November 9th, Beer and Cider Fest on Saturday, November 23rd, and Family Fun Day on Friday, November 29th.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? We do have homecoming tickets to give away. We'll do it in the next 30 minutes because in about 15 minutes, Eric Schmidt, he's San Diego State's defensive coordinator. He will join us here on Jon and Jim, but we've been talking Aztecs hoops as well. They had the closed-door scrimmage against UCLA up in Westwood, and Mark Ziegler, who covered again on Jon and Jim. So, Mark, we know it was closed door. But we also know you spoke with Brian Dutcher. You saw the box score as well. Aztecs winning at UCLA without 5 scholarship players, including a number of veteran guards. So how much do you read into one exhibition result? And thanks for hopping on.
Well, I'm glad to be here. With it's good and bad, and a grain of salt, and also you can read some stuff in it. I think the positives, the big takeaway is that they were able to compete with a preseason top 25 UCLA program with a very, very depleted roster, and UCLA was pressing the whole game. They just kept putting in wave after wave of sub. No one played. I think one guy played 29 minutes, and the next highest was 22, and they pressured him 40 feet. And San Diego State had, were limited with 3. There are probably 3 main guards, or 3 of their 4 main guards were out, and Nick Boyd, Reese Waters, and Wayne McKinney, the USD transfer. And they're kind of just left with Miles Bird and with BJ Davis, and they just hung in there. And I think that's the big positive. But the other thing is you got to really keep things in perspective. I mean, UCLA wasn't playing this like a regular game. They weren't subbing like a regular game. And there were no fans there. There were no TV cameras. And so it's really hard to draw too many conclusions. But all in all, I think it was a very, very encouraging and promising scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about practice. We're talking about practice here. And, BJ Davis was the eye-popping name that when you looked at the box score, you're like 28 points, 6 for 6 from 3. Like, what's going on here? Is that something that you also, like, seeing it, like, was like, whoa, that's kind of encouraging there?
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously everybody they recruit, they expect to be a big-time player, and most of them were very, very big-time players. He played at Modesto Christian in Northern California, won a state title, played on some very good teams, and had his junior and senior year, he did something that very few people do at any level, let alone a high level of high school. But I think he shot 40% from the floor. 50% from the floor, 40% from 3, and 90% from the line. And he did that 2 years in a row. He's the only guy in the history of their high school, and they've had a lot of good teams to ever do it, and he did it twice. So certainly the potential was there, but we just never really saw it last year. Now, part of that was he was playing behind the backcourt that, played in the Final Four the year before, so he wasn't going to get a lot of minutes because of that. But I also think he struggled, as many players do, with being a big fish in a small pond to a small fish in a big pond, and having to sit probably for the first time in their career. And so I think that was, like anybody else, probably a little bit of a struggle and adjustment for him. And I think what this game showed us is that, he stuck with it, just like the coaches kept sort of telling him, hey, stick with it. You'll get your chance. You'll get your chance. And he took advantage of it. Now, is he going to come out and score 28 a night and average that for the rest of the year? Absolutely not. Is he going to start? Probably not. But it gives them another option off the bench, and it gives him a ton of confidence. And just one more player the Aztecs have in their system that maybe a lot of people weren't counting on, but they can now.
Mark Ziegler is with us. He covers Aztecs men's basketball for the Union Tribune here in San Diego. So we've talked about their health. It feels like for a good amount of the offseason now. Will they be, in your estimation, and we've talked to Dutch too, but will they be, quote unquote, fully healthy for the opener, 2 weeks and a day or two away? Or how do you see it right now?
Well, it depends on how you define fully healthy.
Yeah.
Will everybody be in uniform? Possibly. They possibly could have all their scholarship guys in uniform. Will everybody be like 100% game fit and, completely comfortable with the offense and the defensive schemes and playing with each other, which is even more important? Absolutely not. I mean, they still have not had a practice where everybody's been together, and they probably won't. And they might not until the opener or right before the opener. So that's going to be the biggest struggle is, you'll see flashes like you saw obviously against UCLA, or no one saw, but we heard about from UCLA, but there'll also be some struggle moments where, everything's just not in rhythm and they're not clicking. And I think people, again, have to be really, really patient. You can't look at this result against UCLA and say, okay, well, they're going to another Sweet 16. That's a long way off. There's a lot of basketball to be played, and basketball is such a chemistry sport. When I asked Brian Dutcher if this made him feel better, the result of the scrimmage, could he sleep better at night? He said, I'll feel better when I have all my guys. And so that's what he's talking about.
What should we expect from Magoon Guath this year? He had 10 points in the scrimmage. He's a kind of an unknown, not kind of, he is an unknown. What should we realistically expect from him this season?
Well, here's the hardest thing is, I think a lot of people, you're going to see a 7-foot guy who makes threes and expect him instantly to be the superstar. He has not played very much basketball, at least competitive basketball with referees in front of fans in 2 years, not just one. He didn't play that much his final year of high school at Veritas Prep up in LA. And the plan was for him to actually have an extra year of high school and then come out and play college basketball. And then the thought became, well, he probably should just, if he's going to redshirt anyway, he might as well do it in the college system with weightlifting and nutrition and learning a system. So that's why he came to San Diego State. But he had an ankle injury his senior year of high school and didn't play a ton, and didn't play a ton in the AAU circuit. And that's kind of how San Diego State got him. He was so far under the radar. And so when you haven't done that, and all of a sudden you step on the stage and maybe you're starting at the college level and at a high level, not just the college level, there's going to be struggles. And so I think that line you saw from 10 points, that was pretty impressive against number 22 team in the country, his first sort of exposure to college basketball. He also had 8 turnovers. And so you're going to see a little bit of both, probably all through the season. And so there are going to be some really good games, and there are going to be some real struggle games, and people are just going to have to live with that for this season.
Mark, you've written about San Diego State recruiting for a long time, and this current prep class, they've got a player committed, Tay Simmons, but they've also lost out on some players. I think the most recent being Chris Newuli, who's like a top 50 type player who last night announced that he chose Rutgers. I don't know if it was down to Rutgers and San Diego State, or if San Diego State was among the finalists for the 6-7 wing, but what's playing out? We know what's going on in the portal. We know that money matters in the portal. You see it with the collectives, and there's huge amounts of money being thrown around. Is that same thing happening now at the prep level? Are a lot of these decisions being made about collectives and dollars like they're being made in the portal as well?
Well, yes and no. It's been really interesting. A lot of programs have gone completely away from high school recruiting. Nevada, Steve Alford's been coaching for decades. And this is the first time he's ever had a team that didn't have a true freshman on it. And he was talking about how odd that is. And a lot of coaches just have really, really deprioritized high school recruiting, because here's the problem. Since there's so much movement and kids can go anywhere they want, if you pay big money for a player and he comes in, and it's going to be hard because college basketball is getting older and older at the top levels because of the transfer portal, because of the freedom of movement, because of the money. It's going to be rare for a lot of freshmen to play big minutes and really thrive. And so you could have a guy and you really don't get the benefits of it, but you're paying him money, and then he just leaves to go somewhere else, either because he's upset he didn't play or because of a bigger money offer. And so it's just really not worth it. And so it's kind of like you want NFL quarterbacks in their second contract. And this is almost like what it's become in college basketball. And so I think, there is some value in the high school market because you can sometimes get guys you wouldn't ordinarily get. USD got a couple guys last year that, they probably, given their record in recent history, probably should have had no business being involved with. Now both of them left after 1 year, one of them to USC. And so, it's a weird thing. I mean, I think they got very fortunate in this incoming class. They got 3 guys that they really like. I know Tay Simmons was the guy they really wanted among all the high school recruits, and the other ones were kind of icing on the cake. But I think it's not the end of the world when you don't get high school guys now, because you just go to the portal and go get a portal guy who's going to be older and a proven commodity.
A new world, but an important one, obviously, for San Diego State men's basketball. They've talked at length about the importance of their collective, the Mesa Foundation, and really what role that plays. I mean, again, you can't have enough when it comes to NIL. I mean, you just look at what's played out in the landscape of college basketball, and it's just a huge story now and moving forward as well. Mark, always appreciate it. We're looking forward to it. I mean, 2 weeks and 2 days away. That's hard to believe. San Diego State's regular season opener against UCSD. I know you'll be covering it, and we appreciate you hopping on as always.
Yeah, my pleasure. Talk to you guys.
All right, great stuff from Mark Ziegler. On the other side, Eric Schmidt. We're going to switch from San Diego State basketball to football. We'll give away homecoming tickets for Saturday as well. Eric Schmidt is the Aztecs defensive coordinator. How do they slow down the terrific dual threat quarterback at Wazoo, John Mateer? Also his thoughts on Trey White, who's trending towards an All-American season. This is Jon and Jim. right, the official soundtrack of Halloween is back. Listen to Halloween Radio on the iHeartRadio app with commercial-free spooky hits. Great throwbacks and Halloween anthems. Search Halloween Radio on the free iHeartRadio app. So listen now. Do you have a Halloween favorite, guys? That's your favorite song?
No. Scared. Boo. Boo. Spooky. Ooh.
So let me get this straight. I open up the app.
Yeah. And
I get Cavino and Rich.
like everybody.
But if I want something else,
who is that? I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, that is I don't know who it is either.
I have no clue who that is.
But it's a national radio show, right?
Okay.
Hold on. So you open up the app and search for Halloween Radio, and boom, there it is. All right. So if you want to listen to Halloween Radio, boom. It's on the iHeartRadio app. So we're trying to connect with Eric Schmidt, who probably has better things to do than talk with us. He's San Diego State's defensive coordinator.
I agree.
They're taking on an elite offense this weekend, Washington State, a team that's 6-1, the Cougars. He was at Washington last year. Eric Schmidt was. So we'll try to connect with Eric Schmidt, and he's actually calling us right now. So we'll come on momentarily. This is a huge opportunity, is what I would say, for San Diego State. Aztecs are 3-3. Ken Wazoo 6-1. They have a terrific dual threat quarterback. John Mateer is one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and that's probably what is keeping Eric Schmidt up at night right now. Eric Schmidt is San Diego State's defensive coordinator. By the way, after our conversation, we do have tickets to give away for homecoming Saturday night, San Diego State, Washington State. Be listening to this conversation. We'll give those tickets away. We'll let you know how to win them coming up in about 10 minutes. But Eric, first of all, we appreciate you coming on. And we were just touching on the quarterback play for Washington State. It's not just the quarterback play. The offense in general has played at a really high level. Just in generalities, what's it going to take from your unit here this weekend against John Mateer and this Wazoo offense? And thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, you got it, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's going to take a lot of desire, a lot of effort, a lot of grit, man. Our guys are going to have to really play well. We're going to have to be super disciplined in our pass rush lanes. He's as athletic of a quarterback as we've faced. I think he's, just as savvy as far as finding rush lanes, finding guys late when he's scrambling as the quarterback from Hawaii was. Now the thing that he brings that's a little bit different is he has elite speed. He's a guy there that can run away from you. He had 200 yards rushing against Texas Tech earlier this year, so we have to do a good job of changing things up and spying him and getting the right spy on him too as well. So somebody that has an opportunity to be able to match up with his athleticism and be able to get him on the ground. So anytime you got a quarterback who's athletic like that and can really make plays off script, I think that's the stuff that concerns you the most is if you take away, the initial read and make him have to pull it down, he can become, if not, just as dangerous, if not more dangerous in those situations than he is just sitting in the pocket throwing it.
Trey White has had a fantastic start to the season. What has he done this year that has given him the success or allowed him to have the success that he's had so far this early in the season?
Yeah, I mean, credit to Trey, first of all, just as far as his mindset, his process. I mean, I think that's probably the most impressive thing, and maybe the thing that separates athletes now more than anything else is just the day in, day out, competitive nature that he has. Like, he hates to lose, whether that's a drill on Tuesday morning when we get out on the practice field, if it's a walkthrough, like whatever it is, like he's dialed in. He's really, really intentional. And what we talk about around here is relentless pursuit of continuous improvement. And every day, he's out there trying to work on something, to make him a better football player. And these guys are pouring into him here in our staff, and Coach Arch has done a great job, with our edge guys. And, that's something that we talked about when we first got here, and a position that's near and dear to my heart too as well is something that, hey, man, those guys have to be productive, and we're going to give those guys more at bats. Rushing the passer, I think that's how you become productive. We want those guys running out the ball, whether it's 1st and 10 or 3rd and long. We want those guys playing really, really aggressively, and Trey's done a great job. Like, he's just relentless. I think when you watch him play, he's always breathing on those tackles and not giving those guys a play off. And eventually those guys will, get wore out. They get tired of blocking guys after a while who are as relentless and as physical as he is. So been really excited about his progress. Now he's taken, some huge steps here from when we left off, actually when we started in spring to where we left off in spring and then in the summer, and then has just kind of hit the ground running here, in fall camp, and is now one of the, one of the leaders when it comes to production at his position, the leader when it comes to production at his position in the country.
Yeah, he's had just a remarkable year. Eric Schmidt is with us right now. He's San Diego State's defensive coordinator. Aztecs, Washington State, Saturday at 7:30. We'll give away some tickets coming up in a handful of minutes. I'm curious, now that it's all on film, and even with the film, he's overcoming obstacles and had these 3-sack, 4 TFL games. But the more and more he shows up on film, what changes for Trey? Like, what does he need to change about himself? And what opportunities does it create for other linemen because of all the attention that he's going to be receiving in the second half of the year?
Yeah, I don't think he has to change anything. He got to this point by, like I said before, him really being intentional and his process and working every single day, through the fundamentals that we're teaching and that he believes in, and then through the system too as well, and playing through that. And I think, he's a guy that, as you garner some of the attention and things like that, obviously, we're going to try to move him around a little bit, make him a little bit harder to find at times. And I think if you're leaving people in to chip on him, whether that's tight ends, running backs, that kind of stuff, and there's definitely some things we can do to help him. But on the flip side of that, it's one less body, now in the secondary to be able to cover. And, if you can get 7-on-3 back there instead of 7-on-4, like you like your odds, type of deal there. So I don't think he needs to change at all. Like we said before, he's done a great job up to this point of just, taking care of business one play at a time and really been, consistent day in and day out. And I just think, when you're that way, plays will find you, and like I said, he plays with so much effort and desire that even when he is, if he is only getting, whatever opportunities he's getting, like he's going to find a way, to be able to get to the quarterback. So, so excited for him. And like I said before, like, I don't think he needs to change a thing. He's just got to keep being Trey White.
Dealing with the defense every day, you have to go up against the offense every day. And Danny O'Neal, freshman quarterback, how has it been on the other side of the ball to watch his development, going up against him every day in practice and then seeing him every single day or every single game day on weekends?
Yeah, no, I think, he's obviously taken some huge steps. It's a big ask. I don't know how many true freshman quarterbacks are starting in the country, but that's probably one of the hardest positions just overall to be able to learn and the speed of the game and all that kind of stuff. I think there's a lot going on, at that position. People don't understand, obviously, post snap, there's a lot going on, but there's a lot on those guys pre-snap, too, as well. And that's something I think that the two things I've been impressed with him is just, his football IQ and he knows, at a young age, like, hey, where to go with the ball, the timing of when to go there off of it. And, to be able to get the guys the ball when they're open and to understand, like, hey, when they're going to be open and throw some guys open. I think he's gotten way better at that. I think that's something that sometimes is different in high school. Guys are running wide open all the time in high school. In college, you got to throw guys open probably, 45, 55% of the time. And then I think the other thing that's really showing through now is just his leadership. I think he's, got the offensive guys, believing in him and just the type of person that he is. Really all of our leaders, I feel like, really strongly are selfless guys. They're, they're humble guys that have an attitude of gratitude. And I think that goes a long way. They want to deflect credit. They understand that, hey, in order for them to do their job, the guys in front of them have to do a really good job and the receivers have to get open. And I think, all those guys are, leading the right way. Like, they're not me guys. They want to deflect praise to their teammates and they're really, likable guys in the locker room. They're team guys. They're the type of guys that are inclusive and they bring people together. So, and Danny's improvement's been, really, really pronounced here and noticeable. And it's something that we need to continue to have happen. Like, we got to, keep doing a good job of that side of the ball of moving the ball and scoring points and possessing it. And I think that's definitely something that we've improved on as the years gone along.
No doubt about it. I've got one more for you, Eric, before you go. Eric Schmidt, San Diego State defensive coordinator. You've gotten all this productivity. Not just, there's been a lot of discussion about Trey White, but your linebackers have played very well. You've gotten really good contributions in your secondary throughout the course of the year. And just speaking of the secondary, and we talked about John Mateer, but Washington State has really talented receivers. Kyle Williams, Chris Hudson, just to name a few. They have many more than that as well. What's the challenge? Mateer can extend plays, but then when the ball ends up in the hands of someone like Williams or Hudson, they can make plays themselves, can't they?
Yeah, I mean, that's the hardest part. At times, like you'd like to say, like, hey, football plays are, 4 to 6 seconds off it. You do a good job, early on in the down and stay on top of receivers and you eliminate, that receiver from the quarterback's progression. But with a guy like Mateer off it, like, hey, now all of a sudden plays can last 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 seconds long, and that gets hard. For those guys back there to be able to cover for that long. So it's going to be a huge challenge. It'll be kind of the game within the game. Is being able to stay on top of guys. Being able to limit explosive plays off of it. And then, when they do throw, obviously the short game stuff and all that, like, we got to be able to come up and tackle hitches and make sure that, we don't give up yards after the catch. And so, I mean, that'll probably be, as big of a challenge. It will be as big of a challenge as we've had this year so far as a group of receivers. I think these are the best receivers that we've faced off of it. So it'll be fun to see how, McEwen and Bryce and Chris and all those guys back there, Hunt, how those guys hold up. We definitely going to challenge them all week long that, hey, man, like, this is, why you come here. And in order for us to be successful, you guys got to go out there and be able to handle whatever it is. We're in zone, be able to do your job in zone. And then when we're in man off of it and want to throw, want to make those windows tighter for that quarterback to have to throw in. Like, you got to be able to hold up and win in those situations too as well. So obviously I think, those are, anytime you're going against a team that throws the ball as much as Washington State does, like, you got to be able to match up in the back row, and definitely excited to see that matchup on Saturday night.
It is a great opportunity for San Diego State. Like you said, Saturday night, Snapdragon Stadium at 7:30, Aztecs and Cougars under the lights. Eric Schmidt is San Diego State's defensive coordinator. Coach, we appreciate you joining us today, and we'll see you this weekend, and thanks for doing it.
Thanks, Coach.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you guys. Have a great night.
All right, great stuff from Eric Schmidt. Caller 7, you're going to the game. 877-767-4760. All you have to be is caller 7. You're going to the game. 2 free tickets for Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium, San Diego State, Washington State. It's homecoming. 877-767-4760. Call right now. Caller 7. You're going to the game. Back to what AJ Preller said earlier today about the 2025 Padres. Next on Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, it is Jon and Jim. We're telling you about our friends over at Hamul Casino, and they've got so many great promotions and so many great opportunities to get out there throughout football season and baseball season. It is Monday night. They've got great Monday night football promotions. There are 2 games tonight for Monday Night Football, and Hamul has chances for you to win big.
Yeah, with 10 winners every hour at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m. every Monday in October. Also, their Onyx players can receive an extra $100 in cash and bonus on top of their winnings. Plus, you earn entries all month long by playing and getting 2-time entries on Tuesdays as well, with at least $500 in cash for all winners and a chance to win up to $25,000.
So get out there tonight, and when you get there, get to Tony Gwynn Sports Pub, watch the NFL action, the 2 games going on this evening. Watch the World Series from Hamul as well. In addition to Tony Gwynn Sports Pub with the great food and drinks and TVs and Tony Gwynn memorabilia, they have endless dining at Hamul 5 nights a week. Their endless dining options include Saturday night surf and turf buffet. They've gone over the top with perfect combinations of succulent steaks, delectable seafood, and more.
Yeah, Hamul Casino is the place to be. Tony Gwynn Sports Pub is also the place to be for all of your dining experience. And when you want to watch playoff games and the NFL, hit up Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. It's a great atmosphere. Hamul Casino, it's fun above all else. This update is brought to you by the Del Mar Racetrack's Bing Crosby season. The World Series is set. Game 1 will be this Friday at Dodger Stadium between the Yankees and the Dodgers. 5:08 first pitch in every game of the World Series. San Diego FC announced their inaugural match in 2025 will be on the road versus the LA Galaxy on February 22nd, and the club's first home match will be on March 1st at 7:30 p.m. versus St. Louis City SC. And in a closed-door scrimmage over the weekend, San Diego State, they beat UCLA 72-67. BJ Davis went for 28 points in the scrimmage. The Bing Crosby season opens Thursday, October 31st at Del Mar, kicking off a month of great racing and events. Don't miss Uncorked Derby Days, Wine Fest on Saturday, November 9th, Beer and Cider Fest on Saturday, November 23rd, and Family Fun Day on Friday, November 29th.
By the way, Trey White, who leads the nation's sacks, is scheduled to join us this week. This is homecoming week to talk with some Aztec players. Trey White will be one of them. Expect that to be on Wednesday. Trey White, 11 sacks through 6 games. Join us on Jon Jim at some point this week. We do have tickets to give away. If we didn't win them today, we'll have tickets to give away for homecoming each and every day this week, right here on Jon Jim. But we started the show by talking about AJ Preller's year-end press conference. Thank the Lord they had it. Otherwise, it's all Dodgers, Yankees.
Well, also, I mean, are we just going to do everything off of Zoom?
I'm okay with it. I mean, do we need to be there? Is there anything? I mean, do you need to go? But now, okay, if you're in TV, maybe you want to be there.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Because you want the better video and you want the better audio?
Yeah.
Is that what okay, that's fine.
Like,
I see what you're saying.
Everybody does a in-person press conference nowadays. It's 2024. So
true. I mean, I feel like it's just maybe easier.
Look, I'm not like fully complaining about it. I'm just saying it's interesting because for me,
did they do 2023 in person?
They did 2023 in person. Wait, did they? No, they did a Zoom.
The Melvin Preller thing.
They did a Zoom. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember the infamous Zoom I watched.
2022 was in person off the NLCS.
Well, again, he's busy and whatever, but
who's busy?
Preller.
But he wasn't that. I mean, he had 45 minutes today. Is it because of his schedule?
I have no idea.
There's got to be a reason.
It makes it a little easier for like me.
So you don't have to go.
Yeah, just watch it here at the station.
Yep.
Don't have to go. Can see it. Could ask him a question if I wanted to, but didn't want to. So
you didn't have anything hard hitting for him like last year when you're like, would you move Juan Soto? And he's like, no.
Well, here's the thing.
And they traded Juan Soto.
About 5 minutes into this press conference, kind of had the feeling of, there's really not going to be any answers here. And I didn't expect there to be any answers in the first place. I'm not dogging Preller for it. There's really nothing you could give right now. I mean, he thanked the fans, obviously, wished that they could have gone farther, how the season went, after the loss of Peter. The contract extension talks about Mike Schild and bringing him back the whole entire coaching staff with Ruben Niebla in the mix. The one question I might not have heard it. I probably wish I asked it or someone asked it was, what's the urgency to get a long-term contract extension done with Jackson Merrill?
So in the 45 minutes, I heard 30 minutes of it, but then I was in Sean Lewis's press conference. That wasn't asked?
That was not asked.
And you were on the Zoom?
For most of it, yes.
And you didn't ask?
I did not ask that because
that's on you.
There's a list of people that put in questions or put in their name to ask questions, and it was a long list. And I if I put my name there, I'm like, someone's going to ask it.
Here's what you would have gotten. Jim,
you're never going to get an answer.
He's a good young player.
Well,
and our player development stuff. I mean, he wouldn't have said anything. Yeah, he wouldn't have been like, oh, you know what? We're thinking 9 years. Would you go 9 or would you go 8?
Jim, do you think like 115 is a good number to go with, or around 125?
No, the only thing that really came out of this for me is they're working on an extension for Mike Schild, which also isn't overly surprising if you watch the season. They haven't won 93 games in 20 years.
Right.
They just won 93 games. Of course, they're working on an extension. How could you have them on a 1-year deal off this year? So give them the second year. My guess is they would announce it at some point after the World Series in November. And then you have the GM meetings in about a week or two, and then you have the winter meetings. And, he did talk about payroll. And he said they're committed to fielding, a team that can win a World Series, which is great to hear, and that payroll hasn't typically held them back. But they were non-committal. The biggest question involving the Padres next year is the question of payroll. It's not about every single player is all about payroll. Merrill's extension payroll, Profar's future payroll, Kim payroll. We're talking about payroll.
Talking about payroll.
That's the biggest question for the Padres is payroll.
Mm-hmm. And they have to figure out a way to get the number to stay around 170.
Yeah.
And
yeah, maybe to tick up a little.
Well,
180.
The number that we saw in the UT last week was 198. That does not factor in the CBT number. The CBT number is, I'm pretty certain it's above the threshold because you're averaging in Manny's 30 a year, Toddy's 30 a year, Xander's 26 a year. You know, you're averaging in these guys' contracts, not what they're going to get paid next year, but their AAV. Do you have that in front of you?
I do. CBT this year was 237, but that's the AAV number.
The AAV number.
Now, I don't know where they were with the AAV number.
They were under it. They were under it.
Next year, it's going up $4 million to 241.
Do you have the Padres CBT number?
Not the CBT number on Spot Track. I don't think it's anywhere near. I don't know. I guess you could look at 2024.
No, it's too. The Padres are currently at 242 million for the 2025 season for their CBT number.
Okay, so they're right near it. I didn't think they were near having a finalized roster, so it's hard to know where they'll be CBT wise.
This past year, they were at like 225.
All right, yeah, they needed to stay under 237, so that's probably accurate.
And then 2024, like you said, 240 what? 241.
And they're at 242 on Spot Track.
Yeah,
but that's with a million moves.
But
so they're around the threshold.
It's not like, because right now at this very moment, take away the arbitration numbers,
and
everything. You're at 210.
Okay, but then by the time you add in the arbitration players, you get up to 242.
I want to say I'm looking at a lot of different numbers here.
Yeah.
Hold on, 2025.
The point is, money's going to be a big part of it. Are they willing to go over the CBT? I have no idea. Yeah. Do they have to stay underneath the CBT? Can they do it?
Just look at it this way. So 2025, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players in 2025 that are under contract that aren't the arbitration numbers and whatnot. Those total players there account for $154 million.
Okay. So over 60%.
You still have to give arbitration contracts to Lisa Rise, Michael King, Dylan Cease, Jason Adam, Adrian Morahone, Luis Campusano. The list goes on and on.
Well,
obviously,
some of these guys aren't going to be back. I mean, we spent last week on that, and people might not like it, but not everyone's going to be back.
Yeah,
there's just not.
Yeah,
and not all your arbitration players are going to be back. And somebody of the 10 you just mentioned that make $160 million, don't rule out the possibility of someone moving.
And if you add in giving a contract extension to Jackson Merrill,
then
that's going to go up there. Like it's you got Xander making $25 million next year, Darvish making 21, Toddy making 20. Like those are just the payroll numbers. It's not the CBT number.
It's actually higher than that.
It's higher than that.
Yeah.
But man, Preller's got a lot of work to do. And
does he have more work than last year?
I would argue he has more. It's a more difficult task because last year the easy was trading Juan Soto.
Yeah.
That's the easy out. And you could trade Juan Soto. It's not like a lot of teams were like, I don't know if I want.
Teams were interested.
Teams were interested in Juan Soto. So you had that, and you had that chip to play, that card to play, to get back 5 cards. Like you gave up 1 card to get back 5.
Sure.
Now that 1 card was like a first edition Charizard, but you got back a good haul. And that haul got you to the playoffs and it got you 93 wins. But that was just this past year. Can you double down and make that trade stick for 2+ seasons, and the players that you got stick, and the players that you got continue to build on this core and get back to 90+ wins, get back to the postseason and have a better chance to win a World Series? Like it's tough, man. It's
tough,
very
but
tough.
It was tough last offseason. We wouldn't have thought that they would lower payroll $96 million and win 13 more games or whatever it was, 11
No,
more
I
games.
get it,
You know,
yeah.
so it's hard to say. And you're right. It was a difficult decision to trade Juan Soto. They did it, and they came up on a fair side of that coin. And it might be a difficult decision to trade Luis Ariz.
And I think that if they don't trade for Dylan Cease, they don't trade for Luis Ariz, they're not winning 93 games.
Right. And there's no guarantee as we sit here right now that both Luis Ariz and Dylan Cease will be back in 2025 because of some of the payroll issues.
Who right now, if you had to trade one, who would get you the most in return? It's easy. It's Dylan Cease.
Well, it's Dylan Cease, but who would you be most willing to trade between Cease and Ariz? It would be
Luis Ariz,
the hit king.
And I hate that because this guy is a premier player in the sport when healthy, when he doesn't have a broken thumb or messed up thumb with ligaments. Like, I mean,
so is Juan Soto. Look at him now. He's in the World Series. The Padres had a good year.
You're not going to trade Luis Ariz for Michael King, top prospect, Higgy.
Trade him for Soto.
I like it.
All right. Jim's Back Page is next. Keep up with San Diego Sports 760 anytime, anywhere, whether you're stepping out of the car or settling in at home. Just ask your Google or Alexa smart speaker, play AM 760. Stream it live through the iHeartRadio app. It's never been easier to stay connected with your favorite shows like this one. San Diego Sports 760 goes where you go. This one's good.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
So we have the rare Monday night 2 games, not doubleheader.
I did not know this, and you told me about it. Are they really doing an NFL game on ESPN Plus?
ESPN Plus and ESPN Plus only.
It is
big Chargers Cardinals game.
So fitting that one of the teams on the ESPN Plus game is the freaking Chargers.
In
So
all
fitting.
seriousness, I need the data. How many viewers would actually be watching the 9 p.m. during this Ravens Bucks game? How many people are actually watching on ESPN Plus Chargers Cardinals? Is it more than like 1 million people? Who's watching?
Yeah. I mean, degenerates out there. John.
ESPN Plus?
Yeah. People are going to watch NFL football.
But how many do you think there was? Is it 5 million?
5
Who
million
has
would be a
ESPN
lot.
Plus? Right?
I don't have ESPN Plus.
Yeah, it's like 2 million, maybe. Anyway, let's get to it.
Yeah. This October, John, Cold Stone has teamed up with Freeform's 31 Nights of Halloween to bring customers 2 exclusive ice cream creations, a spooky shake, and a decadent cupcake. Perfect for the Halloween season. Here are the treats. The Treat or Treat Boo Batter ice cream mixed with Kit Kats, Halloween Oreo cookies, and M&M's milk chocolate candies.
Okay.
Then the 31 Nights of Monster Mash, the classic cookie dough ice cream mixed with M&M minis, peanut butter chocolate candies, oats, and chocolate chips. And then the Witch's Boo Shake, Boo Batter ice cream blended with Oreo cookies and spooky sprinkles.
Ooh. So this is at Cold Stone?
Love me some Cold Stone.
This October.
Like right now. Like do it right now.
Kind of makes sense that they would be doing that since it's Halloween.
Yeah. They look fantastic. It looks fantastic.
Does it?
Yeah.
Are you going to go there?
Dude, I love me some Cold Stone. Aaron loves Cold Stone.
Are there a lot of them? I know the one in Liberty Station.
There's one over here off Friars Road next to Snapdragon. There's one down the street from me in Imperial Beach.
Okay.
Those are the 2 closest I know. But there's a lot of Cold Stones.
There's one in the Grossmont Mall.
Okay.
Yeah. Cold Stones are like everywhere, dude. There's
Forget dinner. Go over there tonight.
Aaron does love a good ice cream for dinner night.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes if we have like big meals during the day, if we go to like big lunch, we'll be like ice cream for dinner.
Ice cream for dinner.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
That's what we did this past weekend.
Wow.
Yeah. It's great. Krispy Kreme, John, is gearing up for a major expansion with plans to launch its donuts in McDonald's locations across the U.S. starting in 2024.
2024. Wow. Can't wait.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Hold on.
That's now, right?
They started right now. My bad. But some McDonald's restaurants in Chicago will begin serving Krispy Kreme donuts. This is what it is. So select locations this year, McDonald's in Chicago will be serving Krispy Kreme donuts, with the rollout expected to reach 1,000 locations by the end of the year.
Okay.
And by the end of 2026, they're aiming to expand to 12,000 McDonald's outlets, covering 85% of the chains in the U.S.
Isn't that like massive news? If you're Krispy Kreme, doesn't that like change how much money you're going to be making if you have 12,000
yeah.
McDonald's locations?
You
Does
think?
that like triple your revenue?
Yeah, because
everyone goes to McDonald's
and everyone loves Krispy Kreme.
Right.
Like, you like Krispy Kreme, Brent?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's just
I think Krispy Kreme has this like specific like taste about their donut
over Dunkin'.
They do.
Yes,
they do.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, it's really good to me.
Okay.
I could eat a whole thing of just regular glazed Krispy Kremes.
You could eat donuts.
I could eat donuts, John.
You could do that for dinner.
I would love to do that.
Yeah, ice cream and donuts.
Yeah, they go get both.
Yeah.
I would love to do
Love
that. Yeah. Subway is turning up the heat, John, with a bold new addition to its menu.
What is it?
The Ghost Pepper Bread. The spiciest bread ever will be at the chains around the country.
Okay.
Available for a limited time. This fiery option will be featured in the 2 new subs and can be added to any new sandwich. Subway is also launching a Red Hot giveaway tied to the new bread.
So this is really spicy bread.
The bread is made fresh daily by coating artisan Italian bread dough with a blend of ghost peppers, habaneros, and paprika seasoned panko breadcrumbs, topped with Monterey cheddar and jalapeno slices, and baked to crispy perfection. Ghost pepper bread promises to spice up any 6-inch or foot-long how you done.
Is this available now?
Available now.
So tonight you could do Subway, spicy.
Yeah.
Cool the mouth off with the ice cream.
Perfect.
And get a Krispy Kreme McDonald's donut on the side.
I'll tell you what, my stomach would not feel good.
No, mine either. You're right.
Just thinking about that combination for like a meal.
I'm with you.
Ghost pepper bread at Subway, followed by Krispy Kreme donuts, then followed by Cold Stone ice cream.
No, you can't do all that.
No. I wouldn't want to do that.
No.
That would be ridiculous. And finally, John, Shaq's uniform that he wore in the 1993 NBA All-Star game. So his All-Star game jersey from the 1993 game.
Is that the one with like the cactuses on it?
No, it's a star.
Okay.
I think this was his rookie year. Right? Rookie year was 93, 94?
No idea.
It went for a whopping $90,000.
90 grand?
90 grand for his 1993.
So that was probably his rookie
All-Star
year
game
because it
jersey.
was 92, 93 season.
Yeah.
So it would have been February of 93.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
He
won.
Yeah. And finally, wouldn't be a Monday back page without
Oh.
a lineup of crumble cookies. Here are the crumble cookies. Kentucky cake, banana upside down cake, pink velvet cake, milk chocolate chip, confetti milkshake, and sticky bun.
Could be good for dinner tonight. Swing by. Pick up some cookies. Dinner.
Here's the thing.
Solved.
Subway.
Ghost pepper bread.
Ghost pepper bread, followed by crumble cookies, and then get some Krispy Kreme donuts
And
at McDonald's,
ice cream.
and then get some blue ice cream at Cold Stone.
You can tell that John doesn't make dinner because he's just agreeing to everything. Sounds like a great
Everything
idea.
sounds
That,
good.
that sounds
Everything's good.
terrific, honey.
Everything
Whatever
sounds
you
good.
want.
Yeah. We're back tomorrow at 3. We've got Aztec football tickets to give away tomorrow, as well on Jon and Jim. So join us tomorrow at 3 p.m. If you miss anything today, sportshistory.com. We're back tomorrow for Brent and Jim. I'm John. Keep it here with San Diego Sports 760. Chargers coming up next, baby. Yeah, it is. Whatever. The Chargers.